I'm feeling like I'm feel. I want a nice living. Feeling like I'm
What's up, everybody? How are you guys doing today? I'm so excited to be hanging out with you guys. Feels like forever since we all had a chance to hang out. I'm going to be getting started here in a minute. I'll get on stage and we'll start this party. I just want to jump on really quickly before we got started and say hi to everybody. Right now, we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all over the place. And so we got people from all around the world watching this. I think as of this morning, we had like over 15,000 people registered for this event, which is insanely cool and exciting. So I'm excited to be hanging out with you guys for the next 3 days, covering creating, as you probably know if you read the emails, we're creating a product called High Ticket Secrets. And I don't know about you, but whenever I buy a product where somebody is like teaching it behind the camera, it's usually kind of boring because the energy is like, eh. So I like to create our products live because then I get the feeling I'm talking to a live audience and it makes me want to show off more, and then the product just turns out cooler at the end. So that's what we're doing today. We're actually recording a product over the next 3 days. This product will likely be sold for $997 in the near future. But you guys have a chance to hang out with us live and just participate and have some fun with it. So hope you guys do that. We're going live today, tomorrow, and the next day. So next 3 days, we'll be starting noon Eastern time every single day. Each day will be 2 sessions. So this is going to be a 6-module course. I'm doing session number 1 right now. Then we'll have a short break. Then we'll have a break. Then we'll have session number 2 today, and then tomorrow 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so that's kind of what's happening. So I'm excited. You guys excited? If you're excited, let me know in the comments down below. If you're fired up to learn about high ticket secrets, how to sell expensive stuff, and all the stuff we're gonna be covering today, let me know down in the comments down below. We've got some fun stuff to share with you guys, and yeah. So I can't see everybody's comments, but I'm hoping you're excited as I am. So what's gonna happen? I'm gonna jump on stage right now, and then I'm gonna re-intro this because again, I'll cut out this intro in the actual course. This is just for you guys since we're hanging out live, and then we'll get started. And I'll teach my first session, and then we'll kind of go from there. So that sound good? Everybody at home? Everybody here? We're good? All right. So I'm gonna get on stage, and then I'm like act like we're just starting again. So sorry if it's kind of weird, but that's how we're playing this game. Okay. Some water. Here we go. Hey everybody, this is Russell Brunson, and welcome you to the High Ticket Secrets training course. I'm so excited to have you guys here today, and we've got something really special and really exciting in store for you guys over the next couple of days. We're gonna be talking about how to sell really, really, really expensive stuff. And for anybody who's ever tried to sell expensive stuff, there's always the fear of like, how do I do it? What am I going to do? But then there's like, when you do close a deal and you're like, oh my gosh, I made 10 or 15 or 25 or $100,000 from one sale. It's really, really nice. And so we're gonna talk about both sides of that. I've got a special guest who's gonna be helping me throughout the next couple of days as well. I'll introduce you to him here in a little bit. But I wanted to bring him on for a lot of reasons. Number one, he is the best sales trainer I've ever had a chance to be around. Number two, I know that some of you guys right now are thinking, Russell, have you ever sold high ticket things on the phone ever? And those who know my personality know that number one, I'm scared to death of the phone. Number two, I don't like talking on the phone. Number three, I'm the worst face-to-face salesperson of all time. I believe I'm probably one of, if not the best one to many, where I'm standing on stage in front of 9,000 people and I can sell a lot that way, but one-on-one, I struggle. And so you're probably wondering, how does this work? And hopefully, for those of you guys who are kind of like me, who are introverted, who are scared to talk on the phones, who may want this as a tool in your business arsenal as well, it'll give you hope and faith that you can actually do it as well. Because we've had one of the most successful high-ticket programs in the history of the internet, and I never had to get on a phone once to sell it. And so I'm going to teach you guys, and we're going to talk about all these different things and strategies that are going to help you guys out a lot. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited as well. This intro session, I actually just literally got done with the slides like 15 minutes ago. I got out of my house, showered, I raced over here to go live. And I spent a couple hours this morning going through it, and I wanted to share some stories with you guys. And so what this presentation, my intro presentation is called, is how high ticket saved my business, not once, but twice. And how this process we're going to be taking you guys through over the next 3 days is going to save you guys over a decade of guessing, okay? The stuff I'm going to be sharing with you guys is not something like, oh, I read a book, I'm going to teach it to you, or oh, I saw somebody do something. As you're going to see, we were in the founding stages of all this high ticket stuff. Before most people who are listening to this got online selling anything, we had a call center of over 60 full-time people calling and selling and doing stuff. We have gotten beat up, we've had tons of successes, and about a million things in between. And so I just want to take you on a journey during this intro session about what I had to go through to kind of figure these things out, what I learned along the way, the little nuggets and gems that I picked up at every single step. I'm gonna share those things with you because my goal is to try to turn a decade of my experience into a day for you guys. Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, turning decades into days. And so my goal is to do that. So instead of you having to go through the trial and the error and the frustration and the headaches and all the stuff that I went through over the last decade to figure out the stuff where we share with you guys, you can just like grab it from a rat and start running. And it should save you guys 10 years with the headache and heartache. And it'll be a lot of fun. So you guys cool then if I go into story time for a little bit? I hope you're all right with that because it's really fun for me. So I'm going to rewind back. It's crazy, actually. My wife and I are celebrating our 18-year anniversary next Monday. So it's kind of crazy. So we married a long time. I met her while I was in college. We got married while I was still in college. And actually, when I was in college, some of you guys know this story. I wrestled at Boise State University. So this is a picture of me wrestling. This is actually my last wrestling match in college. That's me on top. I'm doing a power half with my leg right in for those who are wrestlers. Seriously, like such a good picture. I feel bad. I never got any pictures of wrestling, but for some reason, there was a professional photographer at this match, took a picture. I begged him for it and let me have it. So there's like the only picture of me I really have wrestling. But while I was wrestling in Boise State, was the same time I was trying to figure out this whole business game. Okay, some of you guys know I wrestled actually at BYU for a year. They cut the wrestling program and I transferred to Boise State. And when I was here, I met my wife, Colette. And when I met her, it was interesting because she was a little older than me and she had a job and stuff. And I was like this young wrestler who had no ambition, not ambition, had no hope for to support her, honestly. Like I didn't have a job. I didn't have any, I was going to school to become a wrestling coach. And it was just kind of one of those things. And in fact, I remember she asked my roommate, she's like, do you think Russell could support me if we get married? Which we always joke about now. But after we got married, actually it was not after, it was right before we got married, is when I started trying to figure this stuff out. I was like, I'm going to marry this girl. She's way too cool for me. How in the world am I going to support her? How am I going to figure these things out? And I started jumping online and started trying to figure out how to make money on the internet. Okay, so this is, 2002-ish, so from a timeline standpoint. And during that time, I started learning the basics of marketing online and how to create products, how to sell them, and a whole bunch of stuff. And so while I was actually wrestling, I launched my first few products. A lot of you guys have heard my story about potato guns. I'm not going to talk about potato guns today because these are actually some of the products I created before my potato gun DVD, which is kind of crazy. So this is actually the very first product I ever created, ever. I'm still to this day super proud of it. It's called Zip Brander. And this is a picture of the sales letter. There's the software box. It was my first big idea. I remember when I had this idea, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the thing. It's going to change the entire world. And I remember creating it and putting all the effort and we got it done and we launched it and made some money with it. I remember thinking, I was like, I will never have an idea as good as Zip Brander again. Like that was the greatest idea of all time. And I'm sure some of you guys are like, what is it? I'm not even going to explain it because it doesn't make any sense. It wasn't that good of an idea. But it was my first idea. So I think most of you guys remember like your first idea, the thing that you think is going to change your life forever. And maybe it doesn't, but it gets you on the path. Right? I remember how much time and effort and energy went into this. Like I didn't know how to create software. I literally switched my major in college to software development so I could learn how to create software. Problem was by day 2 of my software, database engineering class or something, I was so confused. It never made sense to me. And I was like, crap, I can't understand anything this teacher's talking about. I don't think I'm going to be a programmer. I'm like, dang it, I just switched my major. I'm trying to create the software product. And eventually I went and I tried to hire someone in America to create this. They wanted to charge me $5,000. Long story short, I ended up learning about outsourcing and I hired a guy from Romania for $120. He built my first product. And then after I had the product, and then I had to write a sales letter and get the graphics design. And like all the stuff you have to learn the first time you create something. You guys remember that? Maybe you're in that process right now. The very first time is the hardest because you got to learn about all the stuff. But after I created it, it was done. I launched it. I made, a couple $1,000. I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Oh my gosh, this is really cool. I'm going to create another one. And I created my second software product called Foreign Fortunes. That one was way faster because I didn't have to go through like a year and a half of trial, error, and headaches. I knew, okay, here's where I hired the dude. Here's how I created a sales letter. Here's how I upload the thing. Like I just knew. And this one got done in like a month. And that one we launched. And I still remember after I launched this one, I had my very first $1,000 day ever. And I was like freaking out, like I made $1,000 in a day. Like, oh, so much fun. I was like going back through memory lane as I was pulling these pictures out and just remembering like the motion and the excitement of all the things. After this was done, I remember my next product. This one took me less than a week and it was called Article Spider. I created this, I launched it. This one did like $1,700 the first day because what happened, this is compounding, right? Everyone that bought Zip Brander, I had a list now of like 300 customers. I sold the second one, like, 20% of them bought the next thing instantly. So it's like, I made a bunch of money. And then I had more customers and just, it kind of compounds, right? And that's what happens a lot of times in business. Okay. So I was doing this in college, I was making little software products. I was launching them, I was selling them. Looking at now, it wasn't a lot of money, but for me at the time, it was insane. Okay. For a college kid to make $1,000 in a day, and it wasn't every day. It was like, I sent email to my customer list, made $1,000 the first day, and second day I made like $100 and third day made nothing, right? It wasn't like, but it was like, it was something. And so my wife and I, we'd create this thing, we'd launch it, make $1,000, $2,000, and we lived on that for the next 3 months. So I was like, okay, what's the next big idea? Let me try this one. And that's how we lived. It was so much fun. And I was doing that through college. I remember, with my guidance counselor, she kept trying to get me to create a resume. And I was like, I don't need to do a resume. I have my own business. And she didn't believe me. And she kept yelling. She'd come to wrestling practice. And like, they had rules like, if you didn't fill out, as a senior student athlete, if you didn't have your resume done, then they could stop you from coming to practice or stop you from practicing, because their college was so concerned that I wasn't going to be able to get a job when this thing was done. I'm like, I'm literally making money. I'm going to be fine. I remember she came into wrestling practice one day and basically went to the coach and said, hey, Russell's not allowed to wrestle. His resume's not done. Pull him off the mats. And my coach looked at her and was like, Brunson makes more money than you do. Just leave him alone. And I never ended up not having to do my resume, because I was making these little things. I was making some pretty good money. And those who've heard my story, by my time I graduated from college, that's my senior year, I made about $250,000 in sales from a bunch of these little products. These are 3, but I made every month or so, there was a new one coming out. And it was just, it was so much fun. And about the time I was graduating, one of my friends was putting on his very first internet marketing event. And he knew all the things I was doing. He's like, hey, do you want to come speak at my event? I was like, I don't know. That sounds so scary, but so exciting. And I was like, what do I do? What do I wear? And so of course, what I did is I went and I got a shirt and tie and I tucked it in and I came to speak at his event, right? And this actually wasn't his event, these pictures here. What happens, I knew I was coming to his event. And so I said, what I'm going to do is the night before the event, for my customers, I'm going to do like a special training in a room, and I'll just teach kind of what I'm doing, how I'm making these little software products, how I'm launching, and how I'm making some money with it. And so I sent an email to all my customers and said, hey, I'm speaking this event. If you go and you buy a ticket to this event through my affiliate link, then I will allow you to come to this little private event the night before. And so I ended up selling, I think like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 people bought a ticket to this event. So I was planning on coming to this event, and there was going to be 10, 12 people I was going to speak to, right? So I didn't plan anything, but the one thing I did know, and I kind of learned this because I've seen other people do it as well, I was like, if I'm going to speak or teach something, I'm going to make sure I record it. And so I found out at the event, I rented this little hotel room the night before, or this little event center, this little tiny room, about the size of the room I'm in right now. And then I found out the person who was doing the video, filming the event. I said, hey, can you come the night before and just film me just in case something cool happens? He's like, sure. So he sets up a camera in the back of the room, clicks record, and record the whole thing, luckily. And this is just, here's a little tip as we're going through this. Anytime you talk, record it. Okay. It might become a podcast, a blog, a product, or something. Just always, whenever words are coming from your mouth, record it, okay? Especially if you're in any kind of teaching situation. I don't care what it is. If you're about to like teach someone something big, hold on a second, pull out your iPhone, click record, and just record it, because you have no idea how or when you can repurpose that content. So that was like lesson number 1, okay? Now, what was funny is I got the room set up. I came down there. I had seats, I had the seats set up, and my 12 people who were supposed to be at this little event with me, they were out at the bar earlier. They all checked in the hotel and at the bar and like, hey, Brunson's doing this event. You should come to it. And like, he is. I want to come. They start telling each other. And what's funny, I remember I walked in this room to give the presentation. I walked through the back door and the entire room was filled. There's like 60 people in this thing, standing room only. I was like, oh my gosh, I was planning on like 12 people, and I was going to go and like just kind of riff and teach some stuff. And I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh. I told everyone, I'm like, hey, real quick, I left my notes in my hotel room. I'll be right back. I ran back in the hotel room, went to the elevator, got in the room. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about? There's 60 people. This was not planned or prepared. I was just going to do Q&A with a couple people, and I was freaking out. I remember I grabbed a yellow pad of paper kind of like this. I said, okay, well, if I'm going to teach my process, what does it look like? And this is when I built my very first framework ever. You've heard me talk a lot about frameworks at Funnel Hacking Live and at 2 Comma Club Live and things like that. But it's the first time I wrote out my own framework. I said, okay, step number 1, I do this. Step 2, step 3, and I wrote down like my 8 or 10 step process, how I launched these little software products. I created it. I came back down to the room. I had my pad of paper. All right, everybody, welcome to the meeting. Click record back there. And the guy started recording. And then I said, okay, number 1, and I taught step number 1 of my framework. And I taught step number 2, step number 3. And I ended up teaching for 90 minutes. First time I'd ever taught in front of a group ever. I remember thinking I was awesome until this morning when my brother sent me this video because I wanted to get the screen captures from it. And I watched it. I was so bad. I'm not even going to show you guys the video. That's how bad it was. But there's screenshots of it. So that's what it looked like. So I'm teaching this thing in front of these groups of people, and they loved it. It was awesome. And when it was done, it was so cool. It ended. We left. And then the guy with the video camera in the back, he came and handed me this DVD. He said, here's the masters of your presentation. You can do whatever you want with it. And I was like, cool. So I had this thing, took it home, put it on a shelf, and I never did anything with it again. Like, it was just there. I was like, okay, I have a DVD of the presentation I gave one time. That's awesome. Okay, kind of outside, out of mind. All right. So about that time, this is when it's my senior year. I'm getting done in school. I just give this presentation, teaching internet marketing stuff. And I remember after that, some people start talking like, oh, that guy Russell is making some money, da, da, da. And more people start talking. And I remember I was actually at a wrestling meet, Boise State versus Nebraska. And my buddy BJ, he actually wrestled at Nebraska. And we both wrestled in Utah together. And then I went to Boise State, he went to Nebraska. And so we're at this dual meet where our teams are wrestling each other. We did the whole dual meet. Nebraska beat Boise State. I got beat really bad, kind of an embarrassing match. And then afterwards, BJ came up to me. I'm like, oh, great. He's going to make fun of me for losing to his teammate. And he's like, hey, I heard you're making money. I was like, yeah. He's like, how you doing it? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just kind of like doing some stuff. And so I kind of explained it to him kind of what was happening. And he's like, dude, that's amazing. That's so, so cool. Okay. And so that was kind of the next step. Okay. And then I went back home, finished wrestling, graduated. In fact, here's a picture of me at graduation day. Yes, we did it. Whew. And so there's Colette. Yeah, we were so excited because I graduated, I was pumped about that because I almost didn't. As soon as wrestling got done, there was like 2 months between wrestling season ending and graduation. It was like, took everything in my power to keep going to classes. But I was like, I have to graduate or my mom will like disown me. So I kept going, graduated. It was amazing. And then a little bit after graduation, BJ called me back up and he's like, hey man, can you give me a job? I was like, you want to work for me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. Because this time, you can imagine, I'm a solo entrepreneur in my house by myself. I was like, that'd be amazing. Like, yes, BJ, come fly to Boise and I'll hire you. So he fly to Boise, I hire him. And then after like his third day, he's like, so how much you paying me? I was like, I don't know. So I like told him, he's like, I gotta get paid more than that. I'm like, oh crap. So I made him, I'm like, okay, so I'll pay you whatever you want. Cause I was wanted to hang out with friends who actually cared what I was talking about. And then BJ had a buddy named Garrett. This picture of Garrett over here. This is right before I choked him out in London. And Garrett's like, dude, I heard you're making money. And I was like, yeah. He's like, how are you doing it? So I explained, he's like, can I come work for you? I'm like, I guess, like, sure, come on over. So he came, moved to Boise. And so now it was Garrett and BJ were living in the basement of our house while we were trying to figure this whole internet marketing thing out. And it was interesting because this was the very first time in my life. Before, I would make a product, we'd sell it, make $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever. And then my wife and I would just live on that money for the next 3 or 4 months. I'd just not do anything for a while. It was awesome, right? But then all of a sudden I had 2 friends who were employees. And the weirdest thing happens with employees. I didn't make any sense to me at the time because I'd never actually had a job. But employees expect to get paid every 2 weeks, whether or not you make any money. Do you guys all know this? I had no idea. And so 2 weeks into it, they're like, well, where's our paycheck? I'm like, well, we haven't sold anything yet. They're like, yeah, but you have to pay me. I'm like, but we haven't made any money. Like we have to. And they're like, yeah, but we're your employees. You have to pay us every 2 weeks. And I was like, oh crap. Okay. So I went, like, took some of the money and I paid them and took some money and paid them. And then I started like this scramble of like, oh crap. Now what are we going to do? And so I started creating another product and launching. And then I got this point where we're just like creating products and launching it so I can cover payroll, cover myself. And went from like the lifestyle business to like, okay, I've got a team of people that rely on me. And it shifted everything for me. And there's kind of pros and cons with that. We can get that into another day, but that's kind of what happened. Now, one interesting thing that happened during this time, I remember Garrett, and Garrett's one of the coolest people ever. I remember when he first started working with me, he's like, I'm so confused. He's like, I cannot believe that people buy things online. You remember this is 18 years ago, right? He's like, it doesn't make any sense. They buy things online. I was like, yeah, they just go and they put in their credit card and then the money gets sent to you. He's like, people actually do that? Like he was so confused by that. And he told me, he's like, man, I used to work at this call center. We pick up the phones, we call people on the phone and then they give us money. We sold things on the phone. And I was like, people would buy things on the phone? This is Russell, introverted Russell, who's scared of the phone, right? To this day, the only time I ever answer my phone is if it's my wife. Everybody else goes to voicemail and I text them back because I do not like talking on the phone at all, right? I was like, wait, so you call someone, they pick up the phone, and then they tell you their credit card over the phone? He's like, yeah, all the time. And we had this debate back and forth where he couldn't believe people bought stuff online. I couldn't believe people bought things on the phone. He's like, I swear it works. I'm like, whatever. We're internet nerds. We're selling stuff online. And so we did, and it worked, and it was really, really cool. Okay. So we're having a good time in our little office, doing these things, selling some stuff, having some fun. And then about that time, I decided to join a mastermind, my very first mastermind I ever joined. It was from this guy right here named Matt Fury. He used to call himself the Zen master of the internet. And Matt was someone who I knew who he was because he is a wrestler as well. He sold a bunch of fitness products. So when I was actually wrestling in high school, first time I bumped into Matt Fury and I bought some of his products. And then when I started doing this business, I was like, oh my gosh, he's doing what I'm trying to do. He's selling information products, but he's making tons of money. So I joined his mastermind. I think at the time it was like $1,000 a month, like 12 grand a year. So I signed up for it. And I remember that every single month they did a tele seminar where you could call in and ask questions. And so I still remember to this day, I was sitting in it was in this room where our twins ended up being after the twins were born. And I'm sitting in this room, and I dial on the phone, I'm listening in, and it's basically Matt on the phone, and he's doing an open line Q&A. So the first guy gets on the phone. I still remember who the guy was. His name is Brooks Cubic, because I ended up buying all of Brooks' products, and the guy's awesome. But anyway, so Brooks on the phone. Brooks like, hey, man, I've got a book, and I've got a course. I've got these things I sell. He's like, how should I grow my company? And Matt's like, oh, dude, you know what you should do? So Brooks teaches people how to lift weights and things like that. He's like, I guarantee you there are people on your list who would love to come to your house and lift weights in the dinosaur den with you. And he's like, what you should do is send an email to your list, tell them it's gonna be $5,000. They can come to your house and lift weights with you. And Brooks is like, dude, that's a great idea. I'm gonna try it out. I'll let you know how it goes. Boom, hangs up. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Next guy gets on. Hey, Matt, I'm doing this thing. I'm selling these info products, trying to figure out how to grow my company. Like, what should I do? And Matt's like, oh, dude, you know what you should do? I think this guy was an artist or something. He's like, you know what you should do? You should send an email out to your list and tell everyone on your list that they should, that for $5,000, they can come to your house and do art with you for a weekend. And the guy's like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. So he hangs up. Next guy gets on. He has I can't remember, some other business, and tells Matt about the business, goes through all the details, what's working, what's not working, all this kind of stuff. And Matt's like, oh, dude, you know what you should do? You should send an email out to your list and tell your subscribers that for $5,000, they can come to your house and do the thing with you. And after the third time, I was like, wait a minute. What if I did that for my business? I remember I was like, I got my money's worth right then. So as soon as that call got off, I hung up and I was like, okay, Matt gave the same advice 3 people in a row. That's probably the same advice he'd give to me. I'm going to do the thing. So I literally that night sent an email to my list. I'm like, hey, if you want to learn how I'm creating these little software things and selling them, I'm going to do a live event at my house. You can go to my house and we'll build something together. It's going to be amazing. It's $5,000. And I put a PayPal button on a page. I sent an email out to my list. And I was like, dude, this is like the coolest thing ever. I'm going to be rich. And I remember that night just being all excited, going to bed. And then I woke up the next morning and there were no sales. I was like, oh, crap. I guess no one wants to pay $5,000 to hang out with me. I'm like, dang it. And so I was kind of bummed out. And I remember going back to the office and telling BJ and Garrett about, we're kind of talking about the whole thing. And they're like, oh, too bad. That would have been cool to like try to sell something expensive like that. And we're kind of waiting. And then all of a sudden, like, it's like 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All of a sudden I get a ding from PayPal. Bling! And I look at it. It says $5,000 sale. And I was like, what? We sold a $5,000 thing. My first high take, like I'd only sold $67 software, just put it in perspective. $5,000 to come to my office and do the thing that I'm doing anyway and just like kind of shadow me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then like 20 minutes later, boom, a second one came through. $10,000, $5,000, $5,000, $10,000 is my PayPal account. I'm like, oh my gosh. Matt Fury is a genius. He is the smartest man alive, right? And I'm like, oh, freaking out. And then a little while later, I think the next day I got one more, boom. So I got 3 people, $15,000. I was like, this is insane. This is the coolest thing in the world. Like we had $15,000 from one email sent out to my list. And I was just like, this is, anyway, that's my first taste of high ticket sales ever. And I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And then like we're celebrating, me and BJ and Garrett, we're talking about our side and stuff. And then all of a sudden I was like, we have 3 people coming to this thing. I was like, what, like, are they going to feel dumb if like they show up to a room and we have like a little event, there's only 3 people there? And I was like, we got to figure something out. So I remember that night I called my parents, my friends, my family members, anyone who went to college with me. I was like, hey, this is the deal. I'm doing an event in Boise for a couple of days. I got people who are paying $5,000 to be here, but I need some more like people in the seat. So it's not awkward if I'm in a room with like 3 people and they're like, crap, we're the only ones that bought this thing. So I invited my dad came, so my friends came, a bunch of people came. And so I got a room full of people. And I did my very first ever event. And this morning, my brother got some screenshots from this event. Here it is, me in front of a group of, I think there are about 20 people or so at this event. And what's funny is we started filming this because, again, you don't talk unless there's a camera running, right? You have no idea what's going to happen with that thing in the future. Okay, you always record yourself. Every time you talk, every time you teach, you make sure there's a recorder, audio or video, or both, always at any given time, right? So we got the camera, we're recording this whole thing. I remember, if you look in the left-hand picture here, that window was open at this hotel we were at, and there was no way to close it, and it was so blinding. Our camera guy's like, I can't see you because it's so bright. So I remember, like, 15 minutes into the event, we like stopped it. I think it was Garrett, ran up to his hotel room. He grabbed the sheet off the bed, ran back down. We took the sheet and we started taping it up around the window. And so you can see, I forgot about that. I saw this picture. I'm like, that's literally Garrett's bed sheet taped over the window to block out the light on the left-hand picture there. Anyway, so we did that thing. I taught this event for 3 days. It was so much fun, so fulfilling. It's the first time I'd ever taught internet marketing ever. Like I was doing it, but I never actually taught it before. It was so cool to see the whole thing. I made $15,000 on the event because 3 people paid $5,000, and it was just like it was amazing. Okay, and so again, that was my first taste ever at high ticket. I'm curious if you guys watching now, like how many guys if you've sold something high ticket in the past, you remember that. You remember the taste. The first time you're like, someone paid me $5,000 for 10 grand or 25 grand for this thing. Like, it's crazy. It's just like a whole mindset shift where it's like, I can't believe people value what I'm doing, what I'm teaching enough to pay me for it. Like, it's a huge mindset shift, and it's just so much fun. So they came, I did my best to over deliver for 3 days, and we created this, we did this event, and it was awesome. Okay. And then I kind of like, all right, I'm done with events. I'm going back to my regular life. We're gonna go back to selling stuff, because that's what I do. I create little products, I sell them. About this time, we did a potato gun DVD, a bunch of other things. So I'm just creating these little products and selling them and having a lot of fun with it. Okay. Now, fast forward a little bit after this is the day that John Reese had his $1 million day. Now, what's crazy is when John Reese had his $1 million day, I'll tell this story in more fullness a while ago. I was actually at Bear Lake, which I was at Bear Lake last week. And I was sitting in the library, and I found the library. In fact, Alex Hormozy, a lot of you guys know Hormozy. He's one of the biggest high ticket sellers inside of the ClickFunnels community. He texted me and he's like, hey, so you're at Bear Lake, dude, you should totally go to that library and buy the computer that John Reese story happened with. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I jumped on my bike, I drove to the library, I found it, I took a picture of it, but that's the actual library where the story happened with. So I'm gonna tell you the story right now, but there's the actual library it happened with. So again, I was just getting started in this business. I was making a little bit of money here and there, and went on a family vacation to Bear Lake with my wife and I, and my parents and stuff like that. And back then, this is, again, for the young ones in the audience, this is before we all had cell phones, before we had smartphones, before everyone had internet. The only internet at the lake was at this library. It was the only place. And so I remember it was like halfway through the trip, I'm like, I need to check my email. So I came to the library, I got in there, and then if you remember how they used to be, there'd be like 3 or 4 computers, and there'd be lines behind each computer of people waiting to use the internet. So I like sat in line, I'm like waiting, and I think it's like a 15-minute limit on each person. So the first person gets done, they leave, I get closer in line, I wait, and finally it's my turn. I sit in the computer, I go and dial it in. It's like old dial-up modems, like, super slow. And I go check my email, and emails are downloading, waiting. And all of a sudden there's one email from this guy named John Reese. And John Reese was like the internet marketing guru at the time, right? And the email says something like, we did it, or we hit our goal, or something like that. And I remember, like, I didn't know what this goal was. I didn't know what he was talking about. So I clicked on the email. I started reading this email, and John said, hey, a lot of you guys know, today we launched my new product called Traffic Secrets. And it was this home study course he'd created. And he's like, we set out a goal before we launched this thing to try to make $1 million in a day, because nobody's ever done that to date on the internet. We want to be the very first ones to do it. And he said, this is what happened. He kind of went through the whole details. And he said, 18 hours in, we sold our 1,000th copy of our $1,000 course, crossing the $1 million mark. And I remember when I read that, I remember sitting back in the chair and just being like, oh my gosh, there's a dude just like me, a couple years older than me, but he's doing this game a little bit longer, but he made $1 million in a day. Like, at that point, I didn't have ambitions to make $1 million in a year, let alone in a day. But I was just like, I can't believe this. There's a human just like me, made $1 million in a day. And I was like, how did he do it? And I started looking, I'm sitting there, the things going through my head. He's like, this was his course. He had a course. It was a $1,000 course. He sold it for $1,000. He sold 1,000 of them. I was like, oh my gosh, that's not that difficult. Like, if you have a $1,000 course, sell 1,000 copies, that's $1 million. I'm like, I don't think I can do it in a day, but I think I can do it in a year. Right? That's like 3 courses a day for a year. It's $1 million. Like, maybe I could do it. And all of a sudden I went from like having no vision of this thing to like, oh my gosh, it's possible. Some of you guys have heard me tell the story before about Roger Bannister and the 4-minute mile. Like, for me, this was the 4-minute mile. After Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, tons of people after him did that, right? After John Reese broke the $1 million a day, I had belief that I could do it. And since then, hundreds of people have broken $1 million a day online, but before that, no one even knew it was possible. Okay, so this for me was one of those moments where I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so after that whole thing happened, I remember the rest of the week at the lake, everything's a blur other than just my mind spinning. I'm just like, $1 million in a day. I can't even fathom that, right? And my wheels might have spinning. So I started looking back at like the products I had, and I was like, okay, here's one of my products, Zip Brander. If I want to make $1 million with Zip Brander, what does that actually look like, right? I was like, okay, well, I sell the product for $67. So I have to sell 14,925 copies of this product to make $1 million. I was like, that's pretty cool, but I don't think there's 15,000 people on the planet who want Zip Brander. I think I'd sold maybe 200 at this point. I'm like, oh, that's a long road to getting to $1 million. And I had tons of these little software products to make. Maybe if I sell 1,000 this and 1,000 this, so I have to have 15 different products, sell 1,000 of all of them I could do. And I was just like, it was getting overwhelming, thinking about how much volume I had to sell of the low ticket product to be able to get to the $1 million mark, right? And so then I started thinking, like, well, how did John do it, right? John had a course he created. He sold it for $1,000, so he sold 1,000 copies of it. And so I was like, well, what if I just model John? Okay, you guys know I'm a big modeler. I'm like, well, what if I model him? What if I created a course and I sold it? And I was like, oh, I already created a course. I filmed a 3-day event. We have all the videos in the back of from the back of the room. Like, I already have the product done. It's good. It's really good. Other than the sheets in the windows. But I'm like, it's really good. So I said, what if I did what John do? What if I took my home study course and I sell it for $1,000? I'm trying to sell 1,000 of them. Maybe I can't do 1,000 a day, but if I do 1,000 next year, that's $1 million. And I'm like, the wheels in my head are spinning. I'm like, okay, this is the thing. So I'm going to do. And so we went and put together this project, and it took me so long to get the videos edited and DVDs and get physical products created. And like, this is, back then, things weren't digital, right? So like everything came, like you buy something, come in a huge old box with like DVDs and manuals and workbooks and all sorts of stuff. So that's literally what we did. So I spent all this time and money. I think it cost me like 50 grand. Like every penny I had, I took a loan out actually to be able to print out the stuff. I think I bought like 300 or 400 copies of the very first print because that's all I could afford at the time. And we went together, put together a big product launch. I thought it was going to be amazing. And remember, we launched it on New Year's Day. Because I'm like, everyone's going to be sitting at home waiting how to change their life. New Year's Day at midnight, I'm going to sell this course, which is a really bad idea, by the way. Everyone at New Year's night or New Year's Eve at midnight is drunk and they're not paying attention to your sell. But it seemed like a good idea at the time. So midnight, the ball drops. I'm like, everyone's going to buy my product. And we launched it. And then I didn't make 1,000 sales. In fact, over the next week, we only sold 21. And then the sales just stopped. So I made $21,000, which wasn't even enough to pay back the loan that I took out of the hard cost for this course. And I had one of those like Homer Simpson moments, like, I spent 6 months, put time and money, energy, all these things, and it didn't work. Okay, how many of you guys have ever done that? You put in so much time and energy into a thing and it just doesn't work, right? And you're like, so frustrating. And I remember just being kind of frustrated. And so I didn't know what to do at that point. It was January 1st when this thing launched. By January 7th, we're like, well, crap. That was the plan, was making $1 million and then just take the rest of the year off. Now what are we going to do? And so I kind of went back to the drawing board and went back to what I knew. Okay, so I went back, started creating these little products, okay? And I have tons of these. I'm going to show you guys a couple. But here's one of them. Here's another one. Here's another one. But I just went back and we started creating these little products. We launched them. And everyone incrementally made a little bit more money, a little bit more money, a little bit more money. And but it was never enough because at that time I started hiring more people and started hiring a video person and soon I had a team of from 2 people to 5 to 10 to like 15 people. And I had 15 people every 2 weeks that wanted to get paid. So I'm like creating these products, we're launching them, get the money in, pay payroll, and it's like we're broke again. Then and so literally we were doing a new product launch at least once a month. Oftentimes it was once a week because sometimes we launched one and it failed and we had no money. So like, hey guys, if we want to eat tomorrow, we got to launch a product tonight. They're like, what are you going to create? I'm like, I don't know. Back to the drawing board. We create something, put it together, launch it, and hopefully it would make money. And it was just like, it was hard. It was this grind. If any of you guys have ever been on this grind, it's like the product creation grind. You create a product after product after product after product, and it wears on you. And this was about the time I had my very first business crash, or we can call it a cycle, because the cycle sounds so much better. In fact, the way that I got the name cycle, I was at this mastermind meeting in Mexico, and there was this guy here, this big consultant, really smart guy. I think he charged like 60 grand a day for consulting. And I remember I'm sitting next to him at the table. He starts asking about myself. So I start telling him, like we do. I tell him the highlight reel, like, oh yeah, here's the cool stuff I did. He's like, no, I don't care about your ups. He's like, tell me about like the downs. I was like, And so I told him this story, and then there's actually 2 stories that I'll tell you about a little bit. I told him these 2 stories about my crashes. He's like, and after I remember telling him, I was like so humiliated and embarrassed. I was just like, great. I just told this guy, one of the best business consultants in the world, about how many times I've screwed up my business. And he looks at me, he's like, good. I'm like, what do you mean good? He's like, it's good that you've crashed. Or he said, it's good that you've cycled. I'm like, cycled? He's like, yeah, people say bankrupt or whatever. I don't say it. It's a cycle. He's like, I will refuse to work with entrepreneurs until they cycled at least once. I was like, really? Why? He's like, because until you cycled, you still drink your own Kool-Aid. You still believe your own bio. You still think you are the coolest person in the world. After you've cycled once, you realize there's other factors besides you that make this thing work. There's team members, there's market conditions, all these things. He's like, I refuse to work with an entrepreneur who hasn't cycled at least once. And so this was my very first business cycle. So I remember it was that whole year, it was just this grind from January, February, March, April, May. We probably launched, I'd say conservatively, at least 20 to 30 products during that year. So yeah, it's like almost one a week. And then it came Christmas time. And I remember like I was out of ideas. I was worn out. I remember I hadn't told my wife any of this because I don't like stressing her with things. And so I remember it's Christmas time, and I was outside hanging up Christmas lights at our house. I remember it was so cold outside. I had the staple gun. I'm sitting there, I'm stapling Christmas lights. And I don't know if you guys have ever done this before. You see the professionals do it, and they're like, the lights are all lined up and it's perfect, and they're so good at it. But I'm stapling these things, and like the lights are horrible, and like I'm stapling the wire, and then like short circuits the light, and my hands are so numb and cold. And inside though, I'm just like freaking out because I knew the payroll was like in 3 days from now, and I had $0. Like I was out. Everything we'd spent was gone. I had no money. And the people that were working for me at the time were my friends. Like literally, there was a bunch of us hanging out in a house, goofing off. They're like my friends. I was like, how in the world do I tell my friends like a week before Christmas that not only can I not pay them their paycheck, I need to fire them. They're not gonna have money to buy their family members Christmas presents. Like so I'm stressing about this, just like sick to my stomach. Like, what do I do? And how do I do it? And I'm freaking out. And at the time I'm listening to a marketing seminar on my iPod. I'm listening to stuff and I'm hearing different speakers talk about different things. And there are a couple like pivotal things that I learned while I'm sitting there hanging Christmas lights. Because about halfway through is where I had the idea, where I was like, I know exactly what to do. I know how to like save everything. And so one of the presentations I listened to, this is actually, there was a guy named Mike Littman, and I actually heard him talk about this a little earlier, but he said something really powerful. He said that amateurs focus on the front end. And I didn't know what he meant at the time. It didn't make any sense to me. But in this moment, as I'm hanging up these Christmas tree lights, I'm trying to figure out how to save our business, how to save Christmas, all these things. I'm thinking through things, and I hear him in my head say, amateurs focus on the front end. And I start looking at my business. I start looking at, I'm gonna go back a slide, at all these things. These are all front-end products. These are all products to get somebody to come in. And I was focusing on this. I was focusing on how do I sell these things? How to make a ton of money off my $37 ebook? How to make a ton of money off this $27 product, right? And then he starts saying amateurs focus on the front end. And I remember in this presentation, he told people, he said, we sell a DVD. He's like, it's free plus shipping. We give away these DVDs. And he's like, but I pay up to $37 in ads to give away one DVD. And I remember saying that. I was like, how does he do it? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then as I'm listening to these different courses while I'm lifting weights, or while I'm hanging Christmas lights, I remember starting thinking about amateurs focus on the front end. And then there was a guy who was speaking at this event, and he talked about his business model. He said, what I do is I give away free CDs, and then someone buys the free CD, and then I call him on the phone, and I offer him coaching related to the CD they just bought. And he walked through his numbers in his business, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. And I was like, I think I know what to do. And so I remember that night calling everyone on the team, like, hey guys, just so you know, we got no money. We are completely bankrupt. I don't know how to pay you. You probably shouldn't come to the office tomorrow, but I have an idea. I think I can save everything. But if you want to be part of this, you got to come to the office tomorrow morning. We're going to be shifting everything, and hopefully you can come. See you in the morning. And I'm sure that night they're freaking out, like, wait, you're bankrupt? We have no money? Duh. But they all showed up the next morning. I was like, hey guys, this is the deal. I was like, remember in college, I did that presentation of me in the thing? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, I have the DVD. It's been sitting on my shelf forever. We've never done anything with it, but I have it recorded. It was good at the time. I was like, we should sell that. And so we took that DVD, and I remember we went and bought a DVD burner, and we literally were burning DVDs in our office, slapping on the stickers like you used to do. Like for those who remember that, it was right after mixtapes were a thing, and CDs came out. So we burned CDs, and you print the label and you stick it on yourself, and then you had these like things. So that's what we did. We started burning these DVDs, and I called it .com Secrets, which is kind of funny. Fast forwarding now, this a decade later it became the name of my book, but it was called .com Secrets, and that was this DVD I created, me telling how I was making these little products, right? So we took that DVD, and then I created a little mini funnel. This is before I really knew what funnels were. They put up there and it was giving away this DVD. So it was like, here's the DVD. It's free. Just cover shipping and handling. We'll ship it out to you. So they went through it. They saw the thing like that. And then what would happen is that everyone who got the DVD, like a week later, we call them on the phone and we try to sell them a high ticket product. Okay, so that was the model. I had no idea if it was going to work. So we put the free DVD page up there. I sent an email to my list, and I remember that during that week, and this is like middle of Christmas is about to hit, right? We sent an email out, and I think if I remember right, we had like 350 people who went and actually bought the DVD. Okay, so bought the DVD. We're like, sweet. So we're printing DVDs and printing them and putting them in envelopes and shoving them out and shipping them out. And the entire, like, our little tiny team, that's what we're doing. We're shipping them all out. And then they all got out the door. Like, now what? We're like, we got to wait for them to like get it. Like, how long is that going to take? We're like, I don't know, like a week or two, maybe. I don't know. So we sat there like waiting. It's getting closer and closer to Christmas. Still haven't made any money. And then we're like, okay, Christmas is like 3 or 4 days from now. It's time to start calling. And like, what do we say? Like, I don't know. Just like, hey, dude, did you get the DVD? Did you watch it? Do you want more of that? Who wants a piece of that, right? And so we started calling, and no script, no nothing. We started calling, and it was funny because Garrett was one who was like, dude, I used to work. I told you we can sell things on the phone. I'm like, I heard that, but I don't know if I believe it. Let's try it out. And so it was Garrett, it was me, a couple guys, and we all started just calling these leads, and people that had bought DVDs and say, hey, did you get a DVD? And half of them were like, I haven't had a chance to watch it. Right? Can you go watch it right now and then call me back? Like, oh, okay. So they go watch the DVD and they call me back, and they're like, dude, that was awesome. I'm like, I know. Do you want to like learn how to do that more? They're like, yes. Like, okay, cool. This is how it works. You send us $5,000 and then you come to Boise and we'll show you how to do it. Because I only knew that from Matt Fury. Like, that's the only way to fulfill, right? Give me $5,000 and you come to my house, we'll hang out. Like, that was my frame of what high ticket could be. And so we did this with the 350 people that bought DVDs. We started calling and calling and calling. And by the time Christmas hit, we'd sold 11 people a $5,000 coaching package, which gave us $55,000, which was enough to pay for payroll, pay for Christmas. And then like a week after, I think it was like the week after New Year's, those 11 people came to our office in Boise. And for 3 days, we taught them, we served them, we did everything we could. And we built this case study. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have a business model. This is what we do for a living. Okay. We sell CDs, or excuse me, we sell DVDs, teaching somebody a principle, and then we call them on the phone and we work with them, do a done with you program, help them implement the thing they learned on the CD or on the DVD. And that was kind of it. Now, that's kind of what started. It worked the very first time. They said the event went well, everything went well. It was super cool. And I was like, okay, well, now we know what to do. Let's just keep doing more of that, right? Instead of just jumping to the next product, let's do more of the thing that's working. Okay, so we said, okay, what do we do? When we started looking at this, we started realizing that every DVD that we sold, we would average on the phone an additional $150 in sales, okay, for every DVD. So it means if we sold 100 DVDs online and we called all those 100 people, we'd make $150 per DVD. So what's 150 times 100? What's that? 15,000, right? So for every 100 DVDs we'd sell, we make $15,000. That's kind of how the numbers and the metrics kind of shook out. So in my head, I knew like I could spend up to $150 to sell a DVD and I'd be at break even. Okay. So what if I sold the DVD $100 or $50 or $25? Okay. And as soon as we knew that, I was like, oh my gosh, we can spend money to acquire customers. So we started buying Google ads, and this is before Facebook. We got email ads. And we started buying these different ads to sell this DVD. And we got a point where we started selling a lot of DVDs. We went from selling 300 that one week to we started selling 4,000 or 5,000 of them a week. And then the leads started coming with too many leads to handle. So then we did the next best thing, right? Like when we had too many leads, let's build a call center. Let's hire some more people. So we started building out a little call center. Okay. And this is like, makes me cry now. This is like the only picture I could find of the call center. We had this little call center, people are on calls. And so what happens when we buy a DVD, we wait like a week or two, we call them on the phone and then have them watch the DVD and then offer them the coaching. And like, it worked. It was not a good sales script or anything, but it worked. Here's like the numbers. We didn't have we just had everyone's sales numbers on the board. Here's all the sales guys. And we kind of kept track of it. That's kind of how it was working. And that's what started happening. Okay. Now, as we're going through that, we started testing a whole bunch of different things. One thing that was interesting, one of the tests is when we started sending out a DVD, I made this little insert and we called it the toilet paper letter, or the toilet letter, because in there was a little picture of a toilet. You can kind of see it on the right-hand side there. But we inserted this letter with the DVD. And basically what it said, hey, if you want, I made these checklists that go through everything that you're going to get on this DVD. And if you want them, you can get them for free. You just got to call my office and we'll ship you out. We'll send you a copy of this checklist for free. And so that's what the sales did, was basically pitch them this checklist. They got it for free if they called us. And so we put this in the thing. We started shipping it out. And there was a phone number on that they'd call. And I did that for probably, I don't know, maybe a month or so. And then we ran out of these toilet letters. So we stopped shipping them out with the thing because I ran out of them. Like, I'm not going to print them again. It was a weird paper we had to print them on and stuff. I'm like, it's not worth it. We're not going to print them again. And so we stopped. And I remember probably 2 weeks later, I went to our little sales floor with the sales guys. And I was just asking like how things are going. Like, oh, it's good. And then one guy said, hey, do you have any more of those Pat Live leads? So whether he meant when someone called this number, the number went to, there was a company, I don't know if they're still around, it was a company called Pat Live. And Pat Live was like an operator that would take the message and we'd call him back, right? And he said, do you have any more Pat Live leads? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the ones that, remember they get the letter and they call the phone number? And I'm like, what do you mean you want more of them? He's like, those are our best leads. I'm like, really? Like, how do you figure? He's like, I don't know. He's like, but when we call, like when someone calls in and then we follow up with them, he's like, those leads were worth way more than the other ones. So I was like, really? Like, how much more are they actually worth? So we went back and we started looking at all the numbers. We found out that if we initiated the outbound call, we were averaging $150 per lead. If they initiated the call, we would make $450 per lead. Okay. Little tweak, huge difference. And all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, that shifts everything. And so we started shifting and said, okay, now whenever we send a DVD, always send this letter. And then let's email them this letter. Then send them another email, trying to even call them, like all these different mechanisms, try to get them to call. Because if we had to call them, we made $150. If they called us, we made $450. Okay. Shifted everything, little tiny tweak. Okay. So we started doing that. And then we started shifting around how we started doing things. Okay. And that's how the sales force started to grow. We started making more and more money. And then as we were growing the sales floor, all of a sudden one day we met this guy named Robbie Summers. And this is Robbie right here. So I'll give a huge round of applause from home. I'll introduce you guys to Robbie because he's going to be training you guys a lot over the next couple of days. But Robbie came in and saw what we were doing. He's like, wow, this is really cool. you guys have no idea what you're doing, right? I'm like, well, we're making money. He's like, yeah, but not because like any other reason than you guys are really passionate about what you're doing, because you're doing everything wrong. We're like, what do you mean? He's like, well, what's the script on the phone? We're like, the script is like, hey, did you get the DVD? Do you want us to help you with that? Sweet, wires $5,000. Like that was the script, right? He's like, what if you guys actually had a process to take people through that's not bad, that's actually good? He's like, instead of making this, you could make way more. All right, okay, well, how does that work? And so he came in and started shifting away and started running our call center. And he brought in a whole bunch of scripts. In fact, the script that we used with this call center was a two-step script called the setter and a closer. And he was going to go into this and some other scripts over the next couple of days. But this was the script. So he took our team, took our call center, trained them on these scripts, restructured everything, how it worked. And overnight, our sales just started blowing up. We went from just like people hustling on the phone, begging for money to like, we have a process for taking people through that uses sales psychology. And like, it was amazing. And it's the difference between like us trying to sell something out of passion and then understanding sales psychology and how to do things the right way and a whole bunch of stuff. And so again, I'm not going to go into the script. Robbie will go into there. But this changed everything for us. So the company started growing. We're selling tons of high ticket stuff. We went from having a couple salespeople to 10 to 30 to 50. I think we maxed out about 60 full-time salespeople in this little call center we'd built. We were doing phone sales for ourselves. We were doing it for Frank Kern. We were doing it for Dan Kennedy. We were doing it for a whole bunch of other people, not just ourselves. And it was awesome. In fact, the reason why I met Tony Robbins initially is because of this call center. Tony called me because he was interested in using our call center to sell his coaching. And that's how like my initial introduction to Tony Robbins, which is a whole crazy story by itself. But this was it. It was working. We're having a ton of fun. And during this time, I was learning more and more from Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer. I actually ended up joining their mastermind. So this is the only picture I have with Bill Glazer and Dan Kennedy. I was in their mastermind group for 6 years. To this day, of all the people I study in marketing, I still spend more time studying Dan Kennedy than anybody else, bar none. He is the genius. Like that guy is amazing. Anyway, so I'm at my very first mastermind meeting. I still remember the story. Like I paid $25,000 to be in this mastermind group. I show up in the room and I'm looking around, and I'd never been in a mastermind before at the time. We're in there's a little table, and everyone's sitting around the room, and I'm doing the math because like I paid $25,000. And I'm counting like the people, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there were 18 people in the room. Like 18 times $25,000. I was like, oh my gosh, like he's making a ton of money doing. And like the mastermind was really cool because they didn't do much. They just kind of sat there and let us facilitate this meeting. And I was like, oh my gosh, they made so much money doing this thing. And I remember when it was finally my turn in the mastermind, I had a chance to get up and kind of present my business. I showed them like, hey, we have these DVDs. People buy the DVD. Then we call them on the phone and we sell them our 5,000. Excuse me. We sell them our $5,000 coaching package. And I remember thinking I was the smartest guy in the room, and I'm like, sharing these things, sharing the numbers. I was like, yeah, and we make $450 per lead if they inbound. I'm showing them all the stats, the numbers, everything. And I'm just like trying to blow all their minds. And in the room, again, there's all these like people that have been doing business for a long time, and they're all staring at me, looking and nodding their head. And then I get done, and one guy raises his hand. I'm like, yeah. He's like, so what do you sell to people at your event? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, when they come to the event, they pay $5,000, they come to the event. Like, what do you sell them there? I was like, what are you talking about? What do I sell them there? Like that's my back end. Like it's $5,000. That's a lot of money. And he's like, no, Russell, you don't understand something. He's like, that person paid $5,000 to be in the room. That's a $5,000 buyer lead. Right now you're calling free plus shipping buyer leads. People who pay nothing other than shipping, and you're calling those people. Imagine you're trying to sell a lead who paid $5,000. That's the best lead in the world. And I was like, no, like they already paid $5,000. Like that's a lot of money. No one's going to give me anything more than $5,000. Like that's the most that people will pay for anything in my head. And they kind of looked at me funny. They're like, no, like that's a $5,000 buyer lead. Like you need a deeper back end. I remember like kind of blowing them off thinking, you guys are dumb. And then I go through, we finished the mastermind that day. And that night, Bill Glazer gets up and he's like, hey guys, I want to tell you something really quick. And he starts making this presentation. This is about the time the movie The Secret came out. And he's like, hey, you guys saw the movie The Secret. You saw everyone got famous. It was really, really cool. He's like, the problem is that those guys know how to market. They made a bunch of money and spy themselves. Like, so me and Dan decided we're going to make a movie that's going to be way cooler than The Secret. We're going to call it The Phenomenon. And it's going to be how to achieve more in the next 12 months than you did in the previous 12 years. And I was like, this is going to be amazing. Like, I want to buy this thing so bad. And he's like, this is the deal. We're going to be featuring people in The Phenomenon. Who here do I be in the movie? And we're all like, I want to be in the movie. We're freaking out. Like, cool. How about this? If you'll pay us $36,000 right now, we'll let you be in the movie with us. And I was like, what? I paid $25,000 to be here. And you're trying to sell me $36,000. I was like, livid. I was so upset. I'm like, oh, you're like, I'm just getting sold. And like, I was like so frustrated. I'm like folding my arms like, I want to be in the movie. It's not fair. And I looked as the 18 people in the room that were with me, 9 of them pulled out their wallets, took out the form, filled it out, and handed it in. 50% of the $25,000 buyer leads in that room paid an additional $36,000 to be in a movie that none of you have ever heard of, because it did not blow up like The Secret, but they did. And I was like, that day is when I had my realization, like, oh my gosh, I'm a $25,000 buyer lead sitting in this room, right? And they sold me a $36,000 thing, and half of the room bought it. Okay, and I realized at that point that there's no end to the back end. A little while later in that group, I saw Allie Brown, who she wasn't in my group, she's in the other group, the other one of Dan and Bill's groups. She went to her event and sold a $100,000 mastermind group, had like 18 people sign up. $100,000, 18 people. I was like, how is that possible? She must be magic. And then there's a girl who was in our group, she's super cool. She reads people's palms, and then after she reads your palm, she explains how your palm reading ties back to your business, right? She's really cool, really fascinating lady. And she's like, Allie Brown made $100,000 at her event. I'm going to do that at my event. So she's at her event with like, I don't know, maybe 200 or 300 people at this event, right? And she does a presentation, and she's like, hey, for $100,000, you guys can come, and I'll do this at a deeper level at my house. 9 people gave her $100,000 to come get their palms read with her and then talk about. I was just like, what's possible? My mind has been blown, and I am never coming back. Okay, it is insane. I've seen people to this day who've sold $1 million back ends. Like, there's no. Anyway, I just want to give you guys I want to hopefully break this ceiling, because in my head for probably 7 or 8 years, $5,000 was the ceiling in my head. That was a lot of money. That's all that people could afford. Until I realized, like, oh my gosh, people can spend $25,000, because I did, and then $36,000, and then $50,000 and $100,000. In fact, I remember Justin and Tara Williams, they used to have a really cool company called 7-Figure Flipping, and they came to the very first funnel hacking live ever. They told me the story. It's so funny. Like, hidden funnel hacking live, we said, no matter what Russell sells, we're not going to buy it. And like they specifically took their wallets, and like, we're leaving our wallets in the safe in our hotel room so Russell can't sell us anything. And they came down and they said the first day, we didn't even make a hard sell, it was like a soft pitch for Inner Circle. And they were like, I don't know, they were 15, 20 minutes in the event. And they're like, looking at each other, and Tara sent Justin like, all right, go get your wallet. So he like ran up, opened the case, came down, and they bought it. And I remember they came to the very first mastermind meeting, and they're showing their business, and they had like a $1,000 course they're selling, they're struggling, things like that. But they built a big list from like, all this stuff. And I was like, you guys should like email your list and sell them a $25,000 thing. Like, and they're like, no, people aren't gonna pay $25,000 for real estate coaching. And I kind of smile, because in my head, I know that there are a million real estate gurus who sell that and way more on top of that, but kind of smiled. And I was like, why not? And they're like, people don't pay $25,000 for information. I looked at him for a second. I said, how much money did you pay to be in this room? And Tara's like, $25,000. I'm like, how much did everybody in this room pay to be in the room? Like, $25,000. I'm like, people pay $25,000 for information. You should send an email to your list tonight and just find out. And they're like, oh, okay. So that night they went to the hotel room. They send an email to the list, and they're like, hey, we're thinking about doing a mastermind group. It's gonna be $25,000. If you're interested, let us know. Boom, send an email out. And before the mastermind was over, they sold 18 people at $25,000. There's no phone call involved, just going directly to an order form and signing up. Okay, blew their minds. And so there's so many, there's so much cool things that if I can get you guys just to break your belief pattern, because that's what so many people have. It's like, oh, but my thing's not worth this. My thing's not worth this. If you can break their belief pattern, it'll change everything. So many cool stories I could tell you. We have someone it was in my Inner Circle for multiple years, and she did spiritual guided colonics. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you guys what that is, but you can imagine, right? If you think of like what colonics is typically, you might spend, I don't even know what it costs, $50 to $100 to get that done. She charged $18,000 for a spiritually guided colonic, and she has clients lining up around the block for her to do that. Okay, like it is insane what people will pay for things when you position the right way, when you understand the principles you're going to be learning over the next 3 days. Okay, so there is no end to your back end. Okay, it can keep going for a long time, and yeah. Okay, so let me step back into the storyline. So we built this call center up. It grew to the point where we had 60 full-time salespeople. We were making a lot of money, but the problem, there's a lot of problems. One of the problems, has anyone ever worked with salespeople before? I love them. They are fantastic. They're also really good at selling things to me, to everybody. And the best salespeople are the hardest people to actually manage, as you probably know. The better you are at selling, the more money you make, it's just hard to manage people. So we had this floor of 60 full-time salespeople. And it was hard, a lot of ups and downs. And I could do a whole seminar another day about the pros and the cons of that. But it got so big, got so bloated, there was so much stuff happening that eventually it caused my second business crash or cycle. So second cycle, we ended up, because of a whole bunch of stuff, had to shut down the call center, get rid of everything. And I remember when it was all done, I was like, I am never going to sell high ticket things on the phone again. Like, it's done. I will never do this again. And I didn't for years, probably 3 or 4 years. I didn't sell anything on the phone. But I missed, I don't know. There's something about getting a $25,000 or $100,000 sale that comes in that's like, it's so nice. And we missed that, right? And so eventually, a couple years later, a little before we launched ClickFunnels, we started looking at like, okay, well, how could we do this again without having a sales floor? And like the time I was writing the .com secrets book and we were working on ClickFunnels and stuff. And I was like, I wonder if we could build a funnel that would replace the 60 salespeople. Like, could we do that? Is it possible? Like, what does it actually look like? And so we started this journey and we started creating these different funnels. And to be completely honest, a lot of them did not work at first. We tried thing after thing after thing. We kept tweaking, kept testing, kept tweaking, kept testing. We tried a bunch of different things until eventually we figured out a really, really simple funnel. It's 2 to 3 pages, and I'm actually tomorrow going to go deep in the funnel. So I'm not going to spend time right now going through it because there's so much psychology and intricacy on every single page, every step, every email in the sequence. So I'm going to do a whole presentation on that in a little bit. But eventually, we created the sales funnel that worked, and we launched it. And at the end of the sales funnel, it still created a lead. It created a very special, we call them application leads, okay? So if you remember before, we had the leads that were outbound calling worth $150. Right? Then we had the leads that were inbound calling worth $450. We started creating these application leads. The application leads, when they go through the funnel process correctly, were worth about $1,500 a piece to us. Okay. And so when you start looking at the math, I can spend up to $1,500 to get a lead and still break even. Most of the time, we're spending $30 to $50 to get a lead that was worth $1,500. Okay. It's pretty amazing. And so we did that. We launched it. We started growing it. And what was interesting is if you look after we ran this probably a year and a half, 2 years or so, our gross sales between the two, our gross sales were probably a little bit higher on the call center with 60 full-time salespeople, but with the sales funnel, we ended up having just two salespeople on the other side. So we went from 60 people to 2. The gross sales were a little bit higher here, but our net money, the net money overall, not just net profit, but net like cash in the bank was way higher on this one right here. We had 2 salespeople versus 60 salespeople. Like, it was insane. And then I only had 2 people to work with instead of 60. It was way less stress, way less headaches, way easier, way more profit. Like, it was amazing. It changed everything for us. And what's crazy is prior to us kind of having this discovery and learning how this whole thing works, we were working with some call centers that literally had one call center that we were consulting for had, they had probably 600 or 700 sales guys on the floor. Another one had about 400 or 500 sales floors. Both those sales floors since have shut down, fired all our people, and transformed into this model as well. Okay, so like, it is beautiful. This is like, I wish I could. Man, it was so many iterations to get to this point, and now it's simple, it's easy, it's inexpensive, and something that everybody can do. So again, we're gonna go deep into that as well. After we got the sales funnel working, the hard thing we had is we didn't have, the leads were coming in, we didn't have anyone really good at actually selling those leads and things like that. And so that is when I called up Robbie Summers. I said, hey, Robbie, I got this new funnel thing that's working. These applications are coming in, they're hot, they're amazing. Can you come train our salespeople? And Robbie at the time had some other gig he was doing, and he's like, for $3,500, I'll come and train your guys for a day, for an afternoon. I was like, oh, $3,500? But Robbie's really good at selling, so within 5 minutes, I gave him my money. He came into these 2 people who had never sold on the phones before, ever in the past, ever. He sat down with them for like 2 hours. He taught them, hey, here's the script, here's how to work, here's psychology, here's all the stuff he's gonna be covering you over the next 2 days. He taught him these things, right? Cost me $3,500. He taught him these things. We stepped back. The next day, these 2 salespeople who had never sold anything on the phone prior, literally they'd been trying to call these leads for 2 or 3 weeks, had made 0 sales. The next day, they did $36,000 in sales. Okay, I 10x'd my money in 1 day. Okay, so Robbie was actually really cheap. He totally undersold himself. He could have done way better. But I didn't know at the time what was going to happen. And it was amazing. So we did that. And these guys, this couple started killing it. And then eventually Robbie's like, man, they're making so much money. I want a piece of that. So he came back in, kind of took it over. And Robbie's been with us now for the last 4 or 5 years, doing sales for ClickFunnels and things like that. It's been amazing. Now, a couple of things that are really cool. I'm going to kind of touch upon these, and then we're going to break here in a minute. But there are 2 scripts that you're going to be learning about over this week as well. Okay. The first script is the setter closer script. This is the 2-person script, right? This is where we have 2 people. This is where the guru, me or you or whoever, is not involved in the sales process. Okay. So if you're like me and you're introverted, you are scared to death of the phone. How many guys is that you? You're like, I don't want to talk to anyone ever. I want the big money you're talking about. I do not want to talk to anyone. Okay, if that's you, and you're like me, then this is the script you'll be using. This is where the way that the script is written, it positions and postures the guru, you, in a way that's so powerful. It's how, and using this, you can scale your call. Like this is how you scale a call center, things like that. So this is really good. Okay, so we're gonna go through the psychology of that script. How many of you guys are like, I don't have any salespeople, I don't have a team, it's just me. Like it's me doing the thing. Like man, if I can make 10 grand a sale and I do 2 or 3 sales a month, like that's awesome, right? How many of you guys like would be okay getting on the phone and actually doing it yourself? Okay, if that's you and you're like, I don't mind getting on the phone, that's what the second script is here. Okay, this is the 4-question script down here. This one we've been developing over the last couple of years. In our inner circle, we've been doing this, and Robbie will share some examples, people who have killed it with this script. It's really simple, it's really easy. And so if you're more of like, I don't mind getting on the phone, then use the second script. Okay, but there's 2 different scripts. A lot of times what ends up happening is that somebody will start this business initially, they generate the leads online, they do this script themselves, and they do it initially to make a bunch of sales until the point where like, man, I don't want to do the sales anymore. Then they'll step back and they'll transition to the setter and the closer script. Okay. And so, but both these scripts, they work hand in hand. One is if you're doing the sales yourself. One is if you're out and there you have a sales people doing the sale for you. Different script, different psychology. You have to understand both of them to be successful. Okay. And so that's kind of what's going to happen. Now, just kind of give you guys practical proof of this actually working. The back end of this, of Robbie coming back in and us doing this funnel, is where we launched my Inner Circle. And some of you guys have heard about my Inner Circle. It's the most successful program we've ever done. We basically capped it at 100 entrepreneurs. At first, it was 25 grand a year, went up to 50 grand a year, and we maxed out at 100 people to the point where we couldn't sell it for like 2 years because people got in and they never left again. Okay, but this is how we built the Inner Circle. It was 100% through this funnel, through these sales scripts, through everything you're going to learn today. Okay, and so that's what I want to share with you guys. Now, again, I'm excited to go deep in the funnel stuff. I didn't have time to go deep in it yet, but I'm going to tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to be going deep. And as crazy as this little hack was, right? I showed you this hack. We went from $150 lead to $450 lead with a toilet letter. There are things we found out inside the funnel, little tiny intricacies and things like that you can tweak, you can change. They'll have similar impact. Okay, so I'm going to go deep in those tomorrow. So do not miss that session tomorrow. For all my funnel nerds like me, I'm going to geek out, show you guys behind the scenes, what we did, how we did it, why we did it, like all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go deep into it so you can see it, so you can understand it, so you can model it, and so you can actually use it as well. Okay, so I'll talk about that stuff tomorrow. But first, I want to spend the rest of today and part of tomorrow working with Robbie on the sales side of the high ticket. Okay, and this is the reason. Okay, I told you before, we launched this new model. We had the funnel working applications coming in, people trying to sell, and like almost. Like, I don't think I had a single sell yet. No sales. We brought Robbie in. They sat with the salespeople and me. Sat there for like 2 or 3 hours. Next day, $36,000 in sales. Okay, like the funnel is one piece of it, but the selling part is more important in this situation. Okay, understand the psychology of sales, how you position the offer, how you position yourself, how the sales scripts work, how to actually sell in a way that's not cheesy. Like all those things are so vital, so important. And so I want you guys to understand that part right now. So that's what we're going to go in deep into next, is going deep into the sales side of stuff. You're going to love hanging out with Robbie. He is a great teacher, great presenter, a ton of energy. He makes me seem like I'm tired, which is amazing. So you guys have a lot of fun with him, but he's going to go deep into the sales side of things. And I want you guys to listen to these things, pay a lot of attention, because one little nugget will shift everything for how well your sales does. Again, from 0 sales to $36,000 from a 2 or 3 hour consult with him. You guys are gonna have a chance today and tomorrow and the next day to spend time with him, going deep into all the stuff he did for our company, for other company, for tons of people inside the Inner Circle. And it's gonna be really, really fun. Okay, so that's kind of the game plan. So that is the end of module number 1. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back here at the top of the hour. I think we're just gonna be playing some videos and stuff during the break. So go to the bathroom, get drinks, eat lunch, whatever you want, and just leave the browser open. Don't shut it down. And then we'll be getting started at the top of the hour. Robbie's gonna come in and start going deep into the sales psychology side of all this stuff. It's gonna be so much fun. And then tomorrow, again, we start at the same time tomorrow. We're gonna go deep into sales again, and then the funnels tomorrow. And then Friday, we got some fun things as well. So that's kind of it for module number 1. Thanks, you guys, and we'll see you at the top of the hour.
So Redline Steel was a company that kind of just fell in my lap. Initially, I wanted to purchase something for my son. It was a really cool steel sign, and it had a place where you could engrave your name. And it was this guy swinging a bat like this, looked super realistic, and all I wanted to do was be a consumer. I'll give you the short story. The guy ended up being very backlogged, said that he couldn't make this for me within a certain amount of time. He would reach back out whenever he was caught up. So I said, no worries. 10 minutes later, he reached out and said, holy crap, it's Colin Wayne. Can't believe it's you. I'd love to be at your level one day. I used to be a fitness model, landed over 50 magazine covers like Men's Health, Men's Fitness, Muscle and Fitness, Ironman, and so many magazine publications around the world. And I was making good money. Don't get me wrong, 30, 40 grand a month doing nothing but doing modeling without a PR firm, without an agency. That's cool. But at what point is like, what's next? As soon as he said that, instinctively, something triggered. Like without hesitation, I said, well, maybe I can get you to that level. I do consulting with businesses. And, I see a lot of opportunity. Over the course of about 90 days, it ended up evolving where I wanted to partner. He agreed. And the day he was supposed to sign, he didn't show up. I told him, if you're not here within the next hour, I'm going to open my own company and I'll be your competitor. And so he said, well, I wish you the best of luck. And the very next day, I went and purchased my first plasma table.
With a big air compressor or CNC plasma.
I like this business. I want something that's mine, something that I can build from scratch. See what 1,000 labels look like? A lot of customers, a lot of orders. 10,185, and it is 844. Almost 1,200 orders so far today. It's just 4:30. We are around about 58,000 pieces or products. We are, to be transparent, pretty damn backlogged. This is from ClickFunnels. Anytime you do over $1 million in revenue, they'll send you one of these plaques. How cool is that, huh? We list 4 to 6 weeks manufacturing lead times on the website, in some cases up to 8. Today, I'd love to hit $100,000 in sales. Yeah. We signed a 10-year lease for a new building. It's 108,000, like 960 square feet. A year from now, things are going to look completely different. The challenges are going to be completely different.
Anger from people who never received the gifts they ordered. Business failed to keep its promises. Some customers have been waiting since Thanksgiving.
More problems tonight for Redline Steel.
Redline Steel.
Redline Steel.
3,000 orders that still need to be shipped.
More than $100,000.
They have new management and are actually fully staffed.
Last 5% of the overdue orders. We have reached out to Redline Steel several times. Management declined to appear on camera.
Naja, it's been about a month since we first told everyone about the backup here at Redline Steel, but the owner tells me he and his team are working their hardest and working relentlessly to make it up to their customers.
I'd like to first off apologize for anybody that did not receive their order. I'm upset with myself because we didn't get this out. I made a promise to these customers. I wasn't able to deliver.
Because of the mistake, Wayne says he expected to get complaints from customers across the country who ordered items online, but Wayne says some people took it too far.
Other bystanders and other competitors that are actually attacking myself and my family and threatening my employees. They posted something with my home address, and I've got a 2-year-old daughter that's there.
To answer the question many people are asking, Wayne says the backup was due to a vital machine going down.
A lot of it was out of our control.
Wayne says that machine feeds most of the equipment in the company's facility. He says he hired more people and worked longer hours to try and combat the issue, but it didn't work. Now the company is offering those customers a refund and trying to get items out the door as soon as possible.
We are going to do everything we can to make it right for everybody that got left out for this Christmas delivery.
This year, there were some massive takeaways from that. So essentially, one of the biggest things was now we're leveraging stock items and bundle packs.
So we have multiple shells, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, all the way down to hotel. I've got at least $4 million in raw material ready to be shipped. So this is one of my main prospecting funnels. So we ship thousands of these on a weekly basis, and those are all prospected through landing pages. And so from this, we upsell them on a hope and a love, which we have inventory of as well. And then we'll ship the exact same piece to thousands of customers across the country using a funnel.
That's what we've done this year that's uniquely different than last year. Last year, it was more, how many orders can we get in the door, without a clean and precise strategy of what is the KPIs that we can take away from this year. And we're actually using funnels for the first time for retargeting. Whereas we only used it for prospecting, now we're using it, and we built several landing pages built through ClickFunnels so that we can leverage our own internal audience to purchase higher average order value costs. So instead of more orders, which is equating to more product manufacturing and flows through the entire shop, I would rather put an emphasis on what can I do as a value perspective to the consumer so that they spend more money. So value tiers.
If we're not innovating and adapting to those changes, we're not making it better. We're going to make it worse in the long term. The world's constantly revolving. It's moving. Same with marketing. What's working today will not work tomorrow. This is what's scary, right? If you're using a traditional website right now, it's going to be so expensive for you to market and attribute new customers for growth in the future that if you're not finding good tools to sharpen, and get higher conversion rates, you're going to be left behind, because these large corporations are shifting their marketing budgets into paid traffic across social media. So right now is the best time to get started.
It's going to get very hectic, so we're going to have to push out certain Instagram, Facebook.
All right, guys, y'all ready to see the past weeks? We have 14 different items that are available now for 24 hours. So all the way until Saturday, it's 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. This was our most common voted pick out of all of the previous 11 weeks. This is a teal finish, guys. We also have a blue, which is kind of a navy blue. So if you like the dream catcher, let us know. When we first started off, I had no clue what I was doing. We didn't start out with this. What you see right behind me, this isn't how we started. When I first started, we actually had a kitchen oven, and we hot rolled steel together and made our own powder coat oven. When I look back at like 3 years ago to where we're at right now, it's insane, the difference.
Essentially 6 months or so, we grossed over $1 million in revenue. Year 2, we did close to 10 million. And then to date, we've done almost $40 million. Without funnels, we couldn't do that. So for us, we use ClickFunnels in a sense that we acquire customers at a low cost item on a perception of a high retail product. We could sell a 12-inch cursive love for $6 and free shipping, where most companies are like, I can't even get the raw material for this. Well, it's because we trust the process. It's a long-term thing. And it's about how can I convert this into purchase 3, 4, 5, 6 different times to stretch that lifetime value. Funnels is the way to do that. So from a business standpoint, it's allowed our company to grow very, very rapidly. It's allowed us to have, almost 1 million customers by the end of year 3. And it's evolving, and the evolution of Redline is going to continue to scale and grow well beyond what we initially envisioned.
This is my second time coming here. 3rd grade, I came here for a field trip, and my mom brought me along with my entire 3rd grade class, but I haven't been here since. And to be personally invited by the governor for my business, and I can't even put it into words. Like, I'm still in my 20s, and we're getting asked by the president of the United States, the local governors. What's great about that is keeping that momentum and keeping it moving in a positive direction. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So May 3rd, 2012, to date that I'll always remember, I was working out in the gym in the Paktika province in Afghanistan, and a 107 millimeter rocket impacted about 3.5 feet from me. From the grace of God, I'm still alive. And I'm the type of guy that looks 10 years ahead and wants to support not only myself, but certain veterans. So the big vision is that Redline, essentially what I could see is almost a rehabilitation center for veterans and an outreach program to get them back into the workforce. Building a compound, let's say 300, 400 acres, so having essentially everything that you would need within the compound of our own installation. So having barracks where people can live, having some type of recreation center where people can gather and have some type of culture that's continuing to evolve and grow and build. It's not just the money play. I love concept to reality and also the humanitarian side where there's a lot of homeless veterans that need the chance. They need something to look forward to. And all they need is a small stepping stone. And so I want to be a voice for those people. Unlike a lot of people, we work 80, 90, 100 hours a week. It's literally a whatever it takes mentality. When things are doing great, I tend to throw a wrench in it and we end up making crazy decisions. I thrive under pressure, the same way that our steel's made. It takes literally the air that we're breathing and it has chambers of high pressure tanks, low pressure tanks, and that's what makes our steel. It's the same thing as an entrepreneur that's going through these journeys. We all go through it. Everybody does. Trust me, you're not alone. And that is how growth happens. And that being uncomfortable should, in theory, push you to be so much stronger. And then that's how you truly learn. You learn from those setbacks. You learn from those mistakes and you say, that's not going to happen again. That setback is a set up for your future. That's how you can scale and build the foundation that's needed to grow a massive empire.
Every human being at a certain level has been programmed to desire more. I want more. Should I go for more? Should I not go for more? But why do I want more? The problem is that we're so stuck in our own patterns, we're so stuck in our own routines that it's impossible to actually get what we want. And I'm like, how is this possible that I'm not getting what I want? Because I learned what I should do. I read the book from the smart guy who said, I should do this. I do what he says I should do, but I keep on shooting myself in the face. And then we begin to go towards more and we fall right off the cliff. So we try harder and we just keep falling harder and harder off the cliff. And when we get to that place in person, now all of a sudden there comes this moment where we have to acknowledge, hey, you know what? Possibly the way I'm thinking is not going to work.
If you're not already where you want to be, it's because you don't currently have what you need to get there.
I knew that I needed someone.
Who we are couldn't stay the same for us to achieve the goal that we're shooting for. I never thought that I could go out and speak and get advice from somebody who was at a level that was way beyond where I was.
I need to be in the proximity of the winners. I need to be in the proximity of those people that think different.
So I joined the coaching program and I just binge watched my face off.
Just dove in head first, and within a half of the first day, knew this was the place for us.
I was signing up for a marketing consulting program, right? So I thought I'd learn how to get more leads and sales. And I did, but I also learned about all this stuff that I didn't even really realize at the time I needed.
I got to learn. I became more resourceful because now I have access to the coaches that have been there that can actually see the blind spots, and that will speed up the process, and time is money.
It's a beautiful thing because there's people like us here. They're here to learn and they're here to help other people.
It's when you put yourself in that environment with those people, whether it be the coaches or the students.
Just having that network of people just completely changed the game for us.
And honestly, with this community and with these mentors and coaches and people, I do feel like I can do anything.
There's a lot of power in the community.
Aligning with somebody that was the expert is the fastest way to grow and help more people.
The associations and the groups, that's priceless. Those are things that you can't get.
Every big business deal and pivot that we've done has been the result of a relationship.
It takes a village, right? It's not a one-person show at all.
You're not just one funnel away, you're one person away.
I lead from what I live, and when I'm lost on the way, as I pursue new versions of me, I hunt for individuals who can help show me the way. It's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game. Because if you could get there on your own, well, then we wouldn't need each other. And if we don't need each other, then we would ultimately have no purpose in life.
I remember like it was yesterday. It was my sister's birthday and everybody else was in the kitchen having root beer floats. And I was in a different room with him and he was just drinking and he thought it would be fun to let me try it. So he did again and again. Which is kind of odd considering you're only 4 and you're drunk, like shot after shot after shot, to the point to where I remember walking down the hallway to go to my bedroom and couldn't walk straight, bumping side to side into the wall, just trying to get into the room. You know, it was a rough 10 years. It was a rough 10 years. It wasn't my father. It was my sister's dad. He was my father figure, and he was a 3rd-degree black belt. And he was very physically abusive, verbally, mentally. And unfortunately, he was a drug addict and an alcoholic as well. So any little thing that triggered him, I was the source of his outlet, I guess. I was his training partner, I guess you could say. But I mean, I learned from it. Yeah, it toughened me up. I learned how to take a strike. Unfortunately, it shouldn't have happened that way. But I think I've done okay, you know, considering, you know, the type of, well, trauma that that somebody would have to go through for, you know, 10 years of their life. You know, lost my childhood, you know, that from 2 to 12. I mean, that's, you know, you're supposed to be playing Chutes and Ladders, you know, not drinking bourbon. My name's Tony Giannini. I run martial arts businesses, and I have an online site called dojohero.com where we help other school owners run better classes and help them to grow their school. I also have 2 brick and mortar martial arts facilities here in South Jersey. And we also do a transported martial arts business where we send buses to the schools around here and we pick them up and we bring them back to the karate facility.
I want to ask how you're feeling today. The ladder over here, fantastic, sir. Everybody feel today? Let's start off with 10 jumping jacks. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I met Dana in my karate school. She came to do kickboxing class. I only caught her coming in, you know, like once or twice before. And the girl that was teaching it knew that I had a thing for blonde hair and blue eyes, I guess. And she said, oh, you guys would make a great couple. So she had introduced us. She's beautiful. I mean, white dress, long blonde hair, blue eyes sparkling. Yeah, it was a sight to see. I remember we were at Echelon Mall. She was saying that her legs were very, very tired and weak. I just remember her getting out and only walking a few steps, and then she had to sit down on the curb. So that was the very first, like, real sign that we both saw as far as, like, the decline in her legs. Like, that was the first time that she ever had to stop. We had an appointment to go see a neurologist, and they did CAT scans and everything else. And we went to her office and we were sitting there, and I just remember being very cold, you know, said, oh yeah, you got MS. She was like, there's nothing we can do. I mean, we can just hope that we can stop the progression from moving forward. And she got up and basically walked out of the room. It was about 18 months after Jack was born. And then later on found out that sometimes pregnancy will trigger a dormant MS that's within you. I just thought to myself, I'm like, what is she going to do if something happens and she needs me here? You know, if I'm at work every single night until 8 or 9 o'clock. So I kind of read the writing on the wall and started thinking about different ways to kind of curb that and figure out, you know, what I need to do in order to be home, basically. I wanted to do something online because I figured that was probably my best opportunity to do something that I was good at, which is martial arts. And that's where I kind of found the drills niche for me, because that's what I was really good at. That's where I first started to get a better idea as to what I needed to do. And it also led me to realize that this isn't probably something that I'm going to do, because working on a website, that type of thing, just was foreign to me. I didn't want to do it, to be honest with you. I wanted to go kick stuff. I want to go hit stuff. I don't want to sit at a computer, but I knew that it had to get done. So once I realized that I couldn't do it, I had to seek out somebody that could. I just remember like 2 months going by, and it was only supposed to take 4 weeks to get the whole thing done. And I kept getting the runaround about, oh yeah, we're, you know, everything's going really great. The pages look awesome. I'll send you over some examples. Cool. You know, weeks go by, don't get any examples, don't hear anything, don't see anything. I don't even know if they started. I don't even think they started on the site, to be honest with you. I don't think they ever even worked on it. And then I never saw anything. I never got anything. There was no way for me to know whether or not they even did one thing on that. It was very, very frustrating. You know, having that inability to do something for yourself, right? That's dealing with a website. It's painful. It's painful when you have to rely on others to get things done and you don't have the power in your hands. This guy came over for an interview one day and he's like, well, this is what I can do for you. And I was impressed. I was like, how are you making all these pages like so fast? Oh, I use a software called ClickFunnels. I had this idea and I was like, you know what? Our industry needs this, because martial arts guys, when it comes to computer stuff, building websites and that type of thing, we're not that great at it. And about 2 weeks of me playing around in there, I had built 65, 70 funnels for everything you could think of, from parents' night outs to summer camps to lead generators, like full blown out from page 1, the opt-in, all the way to the thank you page, like 4 or 5 steps. I just didn't give up. I was like, there's no going the other way anymore. I was like, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. There's no option. And that was the best option for me. You know, so many people make excuses and don't believe that they can learn something just because they don't like it. Listen, I didn't like it. And I'm glad that I learned it. Like I said, it puts the power right back in your hands. And then it's just, what's your imagination? What's your limit? What are you going to come up with? Well, it doesn't really matter. Now you can come up with whatever you want and just build it. It's funny when I think about it, because to think that I spent maybe $500 on the camera, the lights, the lavalier, and to think that I'm still using all the same stuff today. Within 5-year period, I'm right at almost $1 million just on the website by itself. To have a website do that kind of number without having to put a ton of effort into it after the initial effort, that's pretty good. And when you think about the return on investment on what I had to spend on a camera and lights and a backdrop, and then you put on top of it how many people you've helped, you know, the money's that's just a side factor. You know, that comes when you provide a good product.
It's a game of speed, almost like a game of tag on the back. So what we're going to do
It's not that difficult. What's difficult is getting inside your own head and letting that defeat mentality take over.
Build on the drill and then just let them have at it. It'll create a ton of energy in your class. I'm Tony with GoGoHero.com. We'll see you next time.
It's that constant, what we used to call baby steps in class. Well, okay, you can't do this today. That's fine. Take a step towards it. And every day, if you do that, it's going to compound on each other. And eventually you'll be able to get to where you need to go. But just don't overwhelm yourself, because you can do it. And it doesn't matter if it's a karate kick or if it's learning how to use ClickFunnels. If you want to be happy, try to find something that you love. You know, for me, how can I not be happy? You know, I teach martial arts to kids for a living. I mean, it's the greatest job there is.
I remember the first time I decided I wanted to work out. I was walking with my mother. She used to walk me to school at like 5 a.m. because she had to catch the bus to go work downtown Chicago. And one day, we were walking, and we see this guy was coming towards us, right? And, you know, he was wearing a big hood and a big jacket, which is normal. We didn't think any of it. Until he pulled out a gun. Man, he put it in my mom's face. You know, it's like, yo, give me the purse. She just froze. Then he put the gun in my face. He said, give me the purse. And she gave him the purse. And I don't remember a lot after that, but I do remember the feeling. It's like, yo, I don't want nothing like that to happen to my mom. I was real concerned about being strong from that point on. It wasn't for looks. It wasn't for health. I wanted to be able to defend myself. But it became so much more than that when I saw how it changed my personality. It changed. I feel like I had more confidence. I just saw everything change just from working out. It was like the spark. And then I started helping other people at that point. I saw how I changed them. And what I noticed is they start to think, man, what else can I accomplish? And then they start setting bigger goals in other areas of their lives. And I fell in love with that feeling of helping people. I kind of knew I was going to do that in some capacity for the rest of my life.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I want to welcome to the stage, and I want to get a loud round of applause for Brandon Carter.
Let me ask you, I don't want to make no assumptions. Why are you here today?
Being in the game for, I won't age myself, but a long time. Mm-hmm. The online training situation appeals to me, and I'm in the process of doing some other things that I think I could integrate it with as well.
Okay, cool.
Well, what good at what you do, so I'm like, I want to be.
I didn't want to cut off that compliment. What about you?
For me, I like the idea of making money online.
I like that idea too. What about you, home?
I want to be able to help more people, but I'm stuck at the gym all day long.
Yeah, you are.
And I can only see 8 people. So I want to take that online and see who I can help around the world.
I don't know what it's like in Canada. Probably similar. But in America, they just say, hey, man, you just got to work hard. Work hard. Work hard. Like, how many of you guys work hard? How many of you guys work hard? Come on, man. All right. Now, how many of you guys are financially free? Maybe working hard ain't the only thing. I was a personal trainer in college, and even after I got out of school, I was a trainer. You know, I was waking up at 4, training people in the morning. I was working like 12, 14 hours days, 7 days a week. I was at the point of like giving up, and I just knew there had to be a better way. And so I thought, okay, I can just get personal clients. I leave the gym. The problem is that, you know, sometimes clients ever cancel you guys? Who's ever had a client cancel on you? Yeah. As a personal trainer, you only make money for the time you're training. In fact, you're literally selling hours of personal training. So you're getting paid by the hour. There's only so many hours in each day. It puts a limit on the kind of money you can make. But maybe more importantly, it puts a limit on how many people you can help. How many of you guys like want to go online, but you're not sure the steps to take? Yeah? Yeah, because that's where I was. I had to stop thinking like a trainer and start thinking like a businessman. So I figured I needed to go online some kind of way. I started reading books. I started going to events, and I got some mentors. I tried to come out with little courses.
Yo, what up? It's man, Big Brandon Carter. Let's get this quick 10-minute background down the workout.
And I took every course I could. It was a huge learning curve because how do you market it? How do you sell it? What price point do you sell it for? And then how do you train people online? I knew there had to be a way. I knew it wasn't like a barber, right? I can't give them an online haircut. And I actually figured out how to get people better results with a simple, I'm telling you, man, 25 clients paying you $80 a week for 52 weeks is $104,000 a year. Once you get that, man, that's going to give you the what? That's going to give you the freedom. Once I cracked that code, it gave me the freedom to like quit all my other jobs, quit training people in person, and then start building my other businesses. I had the time, the income, and the freedom to like do some other things. So that's when we built out our supplement line. That's when we got into like selling some apparel. Fast forward today, now I have 15 employees. We have a big penthouse office in Manhattan. I just started a meal prep company, customers all around the world. And we were able to like keep building, but it all started with online training. And now trainers come to me like, hey, how do you do it? How do you do it? Because they see the lifestyle that I have, and they see that I do what I love for a living, and I came from like nothing. That's one of the reasons we put these events together, because now I know how to do it, and I've helped like a lot of other entrepreneurs do it. And I'll tell them, yo, we got to start with online training. You got to start with online training, and you need that simple funnel. So how do you get those people? How many of you guys want to build a website? I've been trying to build a website. How long have you been trying to build your website? 6 months. What about you?
A year.
A year. Who else is trying to build a website?
3 months.
3 months. What about you?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. All right. You guys are spending almost a year trying to build a website. My students get the website up in an hour, right? But it's not just a website. It's a funnel. It's different. That's different than a random website. This site is designed to do one thing: make sales. That's it. It's a funnel. And instead of 6 months or a year, it's 1 hour. I have all different kinds of funnels, but what works best for personal trainers, not trying to sell them online. There is a lot of competition in this industry, right? You want to do everything you can to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed. If you're just trying to sell online training just from a website, I've never seen that work in practice. You want to have a funnel to get leads, but also to book calls, and the simple appointment funnels where you need to start, because you have to start with online training. Is the quickest path to success. They come to you and you like what you see on the application. If they fit the kind of person you want to work with and you feel like you can help them, then you invite them for a 10-minute call. So it's the same kind of sales call you would do in person. Now you're doing it on the phone.
All right, man. Yo, congratulations on joining the program, man. Oh, man, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm really excited to work with you. So here's the thing.
It's really just taking the whole process of prospecting that you would do in the gym and sales that you would do in the gym and taking that online.
So why don't you tell me about exactly what you're trying to accomplish? We were having this conversation 1 year.
And it starts with the funnel. So the first funnel you need as an online trainer is one to get leads and book appointments, right? And I give all my students a ClickFunnels template, right? I have it, it's worked, it's proven. Here's the template, plug it in, change everything, and you're ready to go. You can be ready to go today. You can help more people, charge them less, and make more money. Man, now you're making as much as a doctor. So now I train personal trainers on how to do this. And that's kind of like been my focus, because the beauty is, instead of me just changing other people's lives physically, now I'm building an army of people who are doing that. So now it's like, it's almost like a bigger mission. It's kind of like this thing where it's like all these people are going out changing other people's lives, and those people's lives being changed is going to change their families' lives. Now that those people's kids are going to grow up in better environments and become more successful as a result. You know, I really feel like what we're doing by helping trainers do what I did, because I know how many people I've helped. People always ask me like what I wanted to be when I grow up, and I would say personal trainer, because you couldn't do this. Imagine YouTube didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist. There was certainly no ClickFunnels or nothing like it. You couldn't do it. But now it's like I have a hard time trying to figure out what you can do.
I lost my dad in the first year of 2018. And mid-2019, that's when my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And that particular point in time, I was just starting my business. I was starting from scratch. Like, I had no direction. 25 years living in the United States, trying to find my voice, trying to find a place where I can build a business, I can feel passionate, I can feel happy about myself. And Brunson and ClickFunnels brought that to me. When I was building my funnels, when I was doing live events, when I was launching some products and services, there was a lot of blind spots I couldn't see it. And who's best in helping me see those blind spots? Somebody as blind as me, or somebody that's been there that can actually see the blind spot and tell me exactly the way that I should execute my business and my strategies so that I can have success. When I joined the ClickFunnels Collective, right, you have access to people that are actually doing it. People that have keys that can unlock doors in your life, unlock doors in your business. And I feel like every single person is giving me a key to a new future. I got to learn. I got to be more aware of the blind spots. I became more resourceful because now I have access to the coaches that have been there that can actually see the blind spots, and they will have the answers for me, and that will speed up the process. And time is money. Just the fact of the growth that I got in the past 2 years. Hey, 2 Come Club hours in 2 years. Like how much we're paying for this type of consulting program. So it's priceless. The growth that you have in the program, it's just absolutely priceless. I don't know what would be of me if I wasn't in this community to still be the leader that I need to be to go through the entire process for 2 years. I can't imagine myself not having somebody coaching me and being part of the program.
My first dream was to be a Major League Baseball player. I got to play from age 5 to age 26. And one day I woke up and the people who were paying me to play the game that I loved decided that I was fired. What typically happens in an athlete's trajectory after sports, they either go on to a new thing and take off to a new level, or they crash and burn. An athlete needs a vision and a team. And I would argue that an entrepreneur does too. So my wife and I, we know we can help. So for like a whole year, we just mentored athletes transitioning out of sports to try to help like replace that new vision and give them a support team. It makes the pain that I felt like useful. That's the moment in time that it all changed. I needed to know where I was going, and I needed a team of people around me who also wanted to go there and had also put in the work. Like, while I know I can do this, there's a lot of the in-between of where I am, where I want to go, that I will rely on the coaches and the community to help with that plan. When you find somebody of that caliber, that you know the truth of the matter is they are the best at what they do, you stick with them. For me, what's most exciting about the collective is really knowing that like I get to pour my heart into this and have the team around me to make it happen. Through that like process of trying to redefine myself and figure out who I was, you cannot get there without the right coaching and without the right people around you. There's no way. It takes a village, right? It's not a one-person show at all. And it's like when you put yourself in that environment with those people, whether it be the coaches or the students, you're poised to continue on that path for greatness. The opportunity cost is the time. You may not get all of the results in month 1, in year 1, but you can't get the results that are coming in year 3 without starting today.
I have a printing business, and we went through a storm, and it was Myron Golden who said, what happens to you happens for you. Something was happening to my business, and I was not liking it, but it was happening for me.
I'm a general dentist, so to me, this was a foreign language. I didn't understand anything about digital marketing.
And I just felt like I wasn't doing my job right.
There's a lot of concept there that we didn't know, and we knew that if we were gonna take the business to the next level, that we needed more.
My group is awesome. They are my support system. Whenever I have problems, they are there for me. Whenever they have problems, I'm there for them.
The thing that I like a lot is the community. You get in the private Facebook group, you have a question, immediately people are starting to get in there and help you out to the best of their ability without an agenda.
I felt like I have friends here that understand me. Every time I sit down with someone, we click.
There's a lot of power in the community. The coaches, like for example, Sarah Morrison, she is unbelievable. Like, she goes out of her way to make sure that we are comfortable, we have what we need, and you can tell, like, she loves her job. She does it from all her heart to make sure that people have what they need.
I love the community. I love the culture, and I love that they're here to learn, and they're here to help other people.
It's a lot of really just good people, you know?
It's hard to describe.
Like, I learned so much over the last year.
It was awesome for us. It was a transformation.
There's so many people in a consulting program.
People that understand you, and
It's wholesome and informational.
it's beautiful.
I used to be a dental hygienist, so when I was in my 9-to-5, making 6 figures in a year would be incredible. And at that time, that was the ceiling though. Like, I didn't think I could get past that. And the year that I found ClickFunnels, I got past that. Before being introduced to ClickFunnels or Funnel Hacking Live, I was in Facebook groups. I had taken these little mini courses here and there. I had tons of books, but even that, it wasn't enough for me to feel like, what are the step-by-steps, the strategies, the tactics? How do I get from A to B to C to Z? Like, I didn't understand what I needed to do. I had friends that were using ClickFunnels, and I just kept being like, who is this guy, Russell? Why are my friends so crazy about ClickFunnels? So I was like, hey, I'll check it out. And when I got here, it was like, this is a whole new world. I was able to see all these people who were just like me, who started whether they were in their 9-to-5 or had this amazing rags to riches story. And it did start to plant the seed, because I started to visualize, well, how can I do this and who can I learn from? Who can I learn from? The people who are doing it. As an entrepreneur, I feel like we all have this shiny object syndrome and ideas, and we see what other people are doing and we're like, oh, can I take a little piece of that? Can I take a little piece of this? You're so immersed in it, you think this is exactly what's going to work. But sometimes when you put that out to the public and to the market, it doesn't exactly work like that. I've put out offers and they've flopped. And I've tried to tweak it and it flopped again. But having that one person that can go, hey, here's what I'm seeing, small tweak, and then it soars from there. And it's such an amazing community because we're all about giving value. # over delivered. So having the mentorship, the coaching, the people to say, hey, here's what I'm seeing from the outside in, and being able to implement that changes everything. I sat in that seat, I looked up at that stage and said, I'm going to be on that stage next year. And whether that was to get my 2 Comma Club award or speak, both of those were the dream. Both of those things happened because of the mentorship, the courses, the coaching, the opportunities, the things that this whole community puts together. And honestly, it's a software company, but with this community and with these mentors and coaches and people, I do feel like I can do anything.
The tough thing for me is I'm a doctor. I was trained to help people with their health. I have no idea how to market. I needed resources that I could easily take action on without derailing the work that I was trying to do to save people's health. Finding the tool of ClickFunnels was really cool because it was something that even somebody who has no idea how to do online stuff, I could navigate it quickly. But that tool was just a piece of it. Getting into a peer group, getting into targeted coaching that was there not only to teach me, but to support me, made all the difference. Any question that comes up for me, there's a resource inside the community that I can get to immediately that helps me get over that next step and keep moving forward. Anything I missed, somebody checked me on. Anything I didn't understand, somebody took the time to clarify for me to make sure I understood well enough to apply it. All of a sudden, everything clicks into place and makes sense. That was just confusing to me before. Unites people with common goals. It unites people that are getting out and trying to change their lives and the lives of other people. To find this type of coaching, it was like, no, we can actually just take your passion, take the good that you want to do in the world, and allow you to have a bigger platform to bless lives. That was exactly what I needed. That led to success coming out of the gate, just like dove in head first. I was taught the proper principles of marketing and marketing with heart.
At every level, there's different things that you need to learn to grow and progress, to break through. With our business, we're in the investment world. We knew we wanted to get out online. We knew we wanted to bring transparency, accessibility, and ease of use to the private investment world, but there's nobody out there really doing it. When you're going to hire a consultant, when you're going to work with a mentor, you're looking for the person that's at the top. You're looking for the person like, who is the best person to bring our message online with us? We believe in something that we would call paying for speed. It's not just about speed, it's about doing it right. It's about business, it's about marketing, it's about getting your message out there so that you can impact more people. Aligning with somebody that was the expert is the fastest way to not only help your people, but to grow and help more people. No matter where you're at in business, it's difficult. You can get principles from a book, but when you can get straight to the source, getting actually in the room with the person and be able to ask every question with details, you collapse time and you're able to move with speed. You know you're tangibly crossing steps, you're breaking barriers, and you're getting closer to impacting more people. That's why we go out and get a mentor. Stop and take an inventory of where you're at right now. If you're not already where you want to be, it's because you don't currently have what you need to get there. The growth is in the gap, and when you find the right thing to bridge the gap, you're headed to where you need to go.
I came here on February 14th, 2019. So I've been here for maybe 9 months. I worked in interior design for 6 years, and my godmother, she helped raise me. She was an amazing business mentor and friend. She was my boss in interior design, and we helped thousands of families put their homes together. And if we were in New York or Chicago, it was easy to source New York and Chicago pictures if they wanted that on their wall. But if we were in Hickory, North Carolina, or Annapolis, Maryland, we didn't have that stock footage available. So I would go out and shoot it for customers, and they loved it. And as I got better and better, there was more and more demand for that. And then I was like, hang on, there's a niche here. People love this. My name is Craig Alexander, and I'm a landscape photographer in Nashville. I think the biggest thing is caring about your customer more than anything else. I don't shoot pretty buildings or pretty mountains or pretty trees. I shoot landmarks, things that emotionally connect with people. I've talked to enough people and interviewed enough people to get what are the emotional triggers and what emotionally gravitates them, what symbol represents best their emotion for their city. I won't even turn on my camera until I find a view and I'm physically and like emotionally moved by it. And then I'll pull out and start shooting. I moved to Nashville in February, and my godmother was in the last months of her life. And the last thing she gave me before she died was a copy of .com Secrets, and she said, Russell Brunson has figured it out. Follow him. It will give you the result that you're looking for in art. And I remember pouring through those pages. I'm just reading this. I'm like, this is the answer that I've been looking for my entire entrepreneurial career to take it to the next level. ClickFunnels is the first thing that I could grab by the scruff of the neck and really create my own vision exactly as I want it. I've never been able to make a website by myself. It's really complex and there's so many buttons and I don't know what any of them do. But even more than the amazing functionality of this amazing software, I was inspired to make my first course because there are so many talented artists out there that never get a fair opportunity to show the world their work. And I've discovered knowledge and teachings that have brought me from being a failing artist to having made $125,000 in the last 8 months purely selling my own art. So I'm going to break down the 4 steps of a sale. If you want to be successful as an artist and selling your work, you need to train as an entrepreneur. If you want to be a soccer player, you need to practice soccer for 10 years. You can't build a bridge if you didn't go to school to learn how to build a bridge. ClickFunnels is entrepreneur school. It teaches you the necessities of going out and killing it in business. Bringing art into the world, bringing beauty, bringing joy into the world through art is such a needed thing. The world needs more art. The world needs to hear unique voices that everybody has to offer. I never considered teaching courses or anything, but now I know that with webinars, I can help millions of people with one delivery, and it's giving me the opportunity to present my unique insight that I have on selling art to the world. I believe that every artist deserves as much help as they can get, because it's so easy to criticize artists and it's so easy to minimize them or to not appreciate their work. And I feel they bring so much good to humanity that they deserve all the help they can get. And very often they're underappreciated or they're underserved or they're underhelped because there's not a lot of resources. So in the same way that I wasn't successful until I got the tools, I want to be that provider specifically for artists in the same way that ClickFunnels has done for me.
We've interviewed a couple producers. We interviewed Gabe from Legion Beats and Anno Domini, and they've kind of, right now, they're kind of pushing this new way of selling beats online through sales funnels. Do you know anything about that?
No idea.
No idea about sales funnel? Damn, yeah. So, I mean, for you and the people that are, short.
Somebody that is making a lot of great noise in this system that he has presented to music producers, and it's helping a lot of people move the needle, including myself.
Gabe is somebody who has absolutely crushed it when it comes to selling beats, and I know a lot of you guys out there are trying to get to that space.
They got a plaque because they made 1.2 million in the last year.
You, my friend, are a genius. Got the internet going nuts. It was an honor.
Have you ever heard of anyone making 1.2 in a year off of just YouTube?
Nope.
No.
And he actually has a practical way for every producer out there to actually do it. It's not getting lucky. It's not getting some major placements.
It's like combined to get it?
No, they both actually have their own.
Oh, they both made 7 figures.
Yeah, and the plaque is from ClickFunnels, which is a very reputable company. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Gabe has already won the game. He's doing what he loves.
That's why it was kind of like, damn.
He's feeling fulfilled.
This is the spirit of people we need to lead.
He's excited every day to do it.
I'm gonna have to eat them up then.
And he's generating a load of money doing it. I mean, all you need is those 4.
Music producing really is about, to me, is really about problem solving. It's really about listening to a song and being like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. But then saying, wait, what about that sounds amazing? And then really breaking it down. My name is Gabe. I am the founder of Legion Beats. And basically what we do is make music for artists. Going and then throw some drums on there. I think there's sort of this thing that almost all artists and musicians have, which is like, I want to do my art. I don't want to do business or marketing. Like, it's this thing that sucks that I have to do.
That's closer.
But what's great about this new model where we actually can create this music and then we give the opportunity to multiple artists to use it. Yes. Yeah. How we can reach so many more people. We can reach so many more artists, so many more fans. Our music is now being played. Like right now, there's people playing our music all over the world. Building this type of business has made that possible. I always thought that my big break was going to come from the record label cutting me a big check. I realized eventually that this is really not going to actually turn into something that's sustainable. You kind of assume, or I used to assume that, hey, if you've worked with some big artist that's a household name, then you're on, you made it. But the reality is, even if you've gotten a couple of those places, you've worked with some of those people, you might only have made a little bit of money once and that's it. And now you're kind of waiting for the next one. 10 plus years of playing that game. And I was feeling stuck. Like I was, approaching 30 years old. I was still living at my dad's house, couldn't afford to move out. Like I hated talking about what I was doing with music, where, I talked to like friends or family or whatever. And it felt like they would see me as somebody who's chasing this pipe dream or like the starving artist or something like that. And so I just didn't feel like that respect. I didn't respect myself, honestly, at that point.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back from lunch or dinner or whatever break you just took. I hope you guys enjoyed it. How was module number 1 for you guys? Please let me know in the comments down below. Robbie's going to be speaking next. I'm going to go back and actually read all your comments. So if you had a good time, if you learned anything, if you had any ahas, any whatevers, please comment down below. And I'm excited now to move into the next module. So as you guys know, this is kind of the way we're playing this game. We're recording this course live. You guys have a chance to be here live. And then when it's over, we'll be selling this product as a product here in the near future. So just want to make sure that you guys are staying here. You're not leaving. We've got one more module today. And then after that, we're going to get started again tomorrow at noon Eastern time tomorrow with module number 3 and then 4 and then 5 and 6 next days. So many more fun things to come up with you guys. But that's kind of what's happening. So I'm going to jump on stage and officially introduce this module and our guest speaker. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys all ready? Everyone ready? Okay. Hey everyone, this is Russell. Welcome back to module number 2 of the High Ticket Secrets training course. I'm so excited to have you guys all here, and hopefully you guys enjoyed module number 1. My goal with that was help you guys see the vision of what's possible and where you can do and hopefully get you just really, really excited about high ticket sales. Now we're going to start getting deeper into the psychology, the strategy, all the other things. You have a chance right now to learn from my close friend, someone who I'm excited to introduce you to in a second, about sales and sales strategy and psychology and a bunch of cool things like that. And that's kind of what's going to be happening during this next module. I think you're going to enjoy it. So during module 1, I told you guys about Robbie Summers. Robbie is a person who came into our world and came into my life back when we were first building up our call center. He took it from this thing that was doing okay and helped blow it up to over 60 full-time salespeople. After we shut that down, then we started over again. Again, when we had figured out a funnel, we were getting these application leads. These guys came initially, trained our team, and like literally overnight went from them selling 0 to selling $36,000 the next day, and then building that up over the next few years and building our inner circle and everything else. He is not only the best salesperson I've had a chance to be around, because that is important, but he's also one of the few people who aren't just good at doing it, but are really, really good at actually teaching it as well, which is why I'm so excited to have him here, because not only does he put in more hours on the phone than I probably put in on funnels, maybe that's going to be close. We should look at it. But like I said, he's also trained and taught so many people inside of our inner circle. When people want to do high ticket sales, he's the one that trained them, that did role playing with them, to help them figure out the scripts, how it works. And they've had the people who have had success with what he showed has been huge. And so I'm excited to share them with you guys today. So with that said, I know we're all home, we're sitting there. I need you guys to pretend like we're in a huge event together, and everyone put your hands together for Robbie Summers.
I feel the energy, Russell. Thank you. Have fun. This is fantastic. I was talking to Russell during the break a little bit, and with the last session, and kind of going down memory lane and nostalgia, and just seeing some of the things, the old call center and how things were put together. And I remembered back to the very first time I'd even heard of Russell Brunson, and my older brother was actually doing some other things for Russell and working with him, and he was talking about Russell. One of the things that I remembered is he goes, "Robbie, you're never going to believe Russell Brunson just got invited into Dan Kennedy's inner circle." And I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's great." And I'm thinking that it's this prestigious award, something along those lines, which it was. But what they didn't fully understand was the value of a high ticket sale, that if you're doing your high ticket sales correctly, if you're doing them right, people want to give you their money. so Russell was telling Ryan, my brother, how awesome it was that he just paid Dan Kennedy $25,000, bragging about it to everybody. And my brother comes and tells me and how awesome and how amazing it is because of the value when you actually do a high ticket sale, when you do it correctly, when you do it the right way. So, I love high ticket sales. I love selling. I love being with people. And there's so many things that we're going to talk about over the next few days I'm so excited about. But let me give you just a little bit of background on me. Like Russell said, I'm Robbie Summers. I've been doing sales for basically my entire life. I remember the very first time I ever did any sort of sales at all. I was 11, 12 years old, something like that. And I told my dad I wanted to go to Boy Scout camp. And my dad was like, that's awesome. You should totally go to Boy Scout camp. And I said, okay, hey dad, it's only going to cost $150. And my dad looked at me and he said, that is awesome. That's great. How are you going to pay for it? He's like, and I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, well, Dad, I just asked you. I just told you it's $150. And because you're my dad, you're going to give me $150. I'm going to go to Boy Scout camp. And he said, no, that's not going to work. If you're going to do it, you've got to earn the money. You got to put the time, the energy, and the effort in to be able to do it, to put it together. And I said, oh, okay, well, Dad, I'm like 11 years old. How am I going to make $150? And my dad, he ran an electrical wholesale distributor in this little small town. He said, hey, Robbie, there's all the businesses here in town. They all need light bulbs. Why don't you go around business to business and sell everybody in town light bulbs? And I'm just like, yeah, that's great. And I would go into these businesses. Here I am. I'm this 11-year-old kid. And I would go in and say, hi, is your manager here? Can I sell you guys some light bulbs so I can go to Boy Scout camp? And it amazed me how many people bought light bulbs from me. And it's probably just because they're like, holy cow, who's this kid's mean dad that's making him go like door to door to sell light bulbs? But it was something that I'm so grateful for and so appreciative because it's something that allowed me to feel comfortable getting out and talking to people and working with them and building and growing my skill set over a period of what we're going on 32 years now. So an amazing opportunity for me. So just a little bit of background, like I said, where I started, I got involved in high ticket sales I was about 23 years old. I'd been married for about 6 months. We had our first kid on the way and I needed to find a way to make money. And I responded to this ad in the newspaper that says, hey, come and make $80,000 a year. If you're average, if you're great, you can make well over 6 figures. And I go in to this business and we sit down and I learn the process, the skills behind actually doing high ticket sales, and have made that a lifelong career. And it's been something that's been amazing and wonderful and has totally completely blessed my life. There's a couple of things though that I want to do as we talk about sales and as we talk about just in general, how people look at sales. And one of the things I want to really focus on today is why it's your moral obligation to sell people things. So many people, they shy away from sales because sometimes sales, sometimes they get this bad rap that to be a salesperson, you've got to be this greasy used car salesman that is out there, and I've got my big cigar and I've got my flamboyant stuff and I'm going to have this deal. And if you don't come and buy the deal right now, it goes away forever. And people believe that and they think this is what sales are. One of my other favorite things that whenever I think about sales and when people shy away from sales, why they don't like them, why they don't feel it's a good thing, is I always think of how many of you guys, hey, raise your hand if you have the friend that, the family member that wants you to join the multi-level marketing company. And all of a sudden they say, I've got this great new product and this great new business opportunity. And they try to sell you into it. And if you don't buy it, they're not your friend or your family member anymore. And they go away. And a lot of the times sales just get this bad rap. I think and I believe that sales is the most honorable position, the most honorable job, the most honorable thing that you can do out in the world. So what I'd like you guys to do is in the comments right now, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to type in how many of you guys want to increase your sales and have fun doing it. Right in the comments. I want to know what you guys think about that. Who's looking for that? Who wants to have it happen? Okay, there's a lot of different things that we can do for sales and a lot of different sales training, but probably one of my most favorite things to talk about sales is when I've had a sale go bad, because I learned so many things from them. And one of the greatest clips, I think, from a sale going bad is it's Chris Farley and Tommy Boy.
What my
And let me show you
associate
what
is
he has
trying to say is that our new brake pads are really cool. You're not even going to believe it. Like, let's say you're driving along the road with your family, and you're driving along, la la la, woo, and then all of a sudden there's a truck tire in the middle of the road, and you hit the brakes. Whoa, that was close.
Can't stream that for too long for a lot of different reasons. But if you guys remember this clip from Tommy Boy and what happens with this clip, Chris Farley lights the car on fire, and the people in the car that he's presenting to, they all die in this crazy car wreck, and everything goes crazy and all blows up. I have had sales sometimes that I feel like I am just falling down a cliff. I've just bombed it. I've just blown the whole thing up and don't know what to do. Sales can be a scary thing. Because, hey, what if something like this happens? And I've never lit anything on fire, like actually in a sales presentation, but I felt like I have. So what I want you guys to know and understand is that in order to do sales and to be effective at it, I have to have a paradigm shift. I have to think differently in my head than what Webster says the definition of sales is. If I go to Webster, it says, hey, sales is to give up property to another for something of value, such as money. So I give you, you get a candy bar from the store and you give me money for it. I give you money for a car and I get my car. Guys, this is what I think sales is. This is my definition of sales. Sales are my moral obligation to help others know, verbalize, and get what they really need and want. Selling is serving, noble, and honorable. What I want everybody to do is I want everybody to reach down into their pockets, okay? And I want you guys to, in your pockets, I want you guys to pull out your wallet. I want you to pull out some cash, something along those lines. And I want you to hold it up in front of you right now. And I want you guys to say, the only reason I have any money in my business to do the things that I desire to do, to help the people that I love, to make the impact that I make, is because somewhere, somebody, somehow sold something. See, sales is the oldest profession in the world. Everybody thinks it's something else, but in all reality, that's just a subset of sales, right? So what I want you guys to know and realize and understand is that sales are something that if I will look at it, that I have the ability to help somebody out. One of the reasons that I have been with Russell for as long as I have been with Russell, and so many people, they go out and they look out and they say, hey, here's the grass is greener with a sales position or something along those lines, is because Russell's mission is to help entrepreneurs to be more successful. That's what his goal is. That's what he wants to do. And the only way that he can help any of you guys is if he sells something to be able to help you guys to get there. So what you guys need to understand, what I want to talk a little bit about is there's a lot of different reasons why people buy. And I've gone through, there's many of the reasons why people buy, but I've got just a few of them that I'm going to talk about here. When I think of, if I'm looking at my product, my service, my widget, my course, whatever it is, my summit, whatever it is I'm selling, there are going to be a lot of reasons that we're going to think in our heads why people buy. One of the reasons why somebody might buy is because it makes sense. Hey, it just makes sense. I'm going to go and buy this. Maybe it's practical. I have to drive to work every day, and so I need a vehicle. I need a car. It makes sense. My spouse told me to. How many of us have ever gone to the store because, hey, my wife, my husband, they need milk, they need food, whatever it is that we need. They send me with a list. My problem is I always get in trouble, and I always venture over to the hardware or the sporting goods side of the store and come back with more than what she told me to bring. So it was a good deal. How many of you guys buy things because it was a good deal? I've come home before. I'm like, Sandy's my wife. You're never going to believe I just got the best deal. Cat food was 75% off. And Sandy looks at me and says, Robbie, that's awesome, but we don't have a cat. But it was a good deal, so we bought it, right? There's a lot of people out there. What about I feel like it? I buy something because I feel like it. I did all the research and this is the product that is the best. How many of you guys out there are the researchers? You go get the consumer reports and you guys look at the reviews and you go through and you look for everything top to bottom because you're the best. I've done all the research and that's why I purchase from you. The analytical side of things. Status. How many of us buy things because of status? How many of us, hey, the car that we drive, the clothes that we wear, the house that we live in, that it becomes a status symbol. And there's so many other reasons why, as I've over the 30 years that I've been doing sales, that I've talked to people, that I've learned why people buy certain things. In my experience, though, there's only one, when we break it all down, we come right down to it. There's one reason why anybody buys anything, guys, and it's simply because they feel like it. There's an emotion. That is why I buy. Nobody buys logically. Nobody buys anything at all when I break it down. Hey, maybe my spouse told me to. Well, why do I do it? Because I love my spouse, because I don't want my spouse to be mad at me. And love and anger are emotions. I have to have that feeling every single time somebody buys something from me. And so as you go through the process, what you have to be doing and what you have to understand is that if I am not creating emotion on every single purchase that my customers, my clients, the potential people that I'm talking to, if I haven't created an emotional reaction, nobody is ever going to buy from me. It's just not going to happen. And we can take this and we can break it down to so many different things, so many different ways. I was actually, one time I was here with the Inner Circle and I was training and we talked a little bit about this and somebody raised their hand and they said, so when does logic come in? Because like people want to analyze things, they look at the logic and people buy based on emotion. They stick with you because it makes sense, because it works. Okay. But the reason they're making that initial purchase is there is a feeling, there's a reason. And if I don't get people to that point of feeling, I am never, ever, ever going to be able to sell anything at all. I have to know that. I have to understand that. And I have to be okay with asking people questions that are going to bring out emotions, that are going to talk about, maybe some people are going to get, maybe sometimes people cry on the phone. Maybe sometimes people get a little embarrassed. Sometimes they get excited. There's so many different emotions that they can have when they purchase something from you. But if you don't create that emotion with them and they don't feel something inside of them, there is no way that you're ever going to be able to sell anything to anybody. So if you're out there, as you guys are looking, as you guys are listening to what we're talking about today, I want you guys to write this down, that if I don't create emotion, if I don't make them feel something, they are never, ever, ever going to purchase from me. So the next thing that happens is, especially when we start talking about high ticket sales and high ticket secrets and how they work and how they're put together, one of the things that so many people ask me and they get concerned, and Russell talked about it a little bit earlier today, is how can I charge that much money? For so long, Russell was stuck on the idea that all I can charge is $5,000. That's it. That's all there is. I can't charge anything else other than $5,000. End of story. That's all that somebody's going to pay for years and years and years. And then he goes to Dan Kennedy's event. He's paid $25,000 that he's telling everybody how excited he is to be accepted into Dan Kennedy's program. And what does Dan Kennedy do? Hey, I've got a $36,000 movie that you can be in. How can I charge that much? How can I justify that much? And what you've got to understand is that if you will help people to understand why it's so important, why it's so valuable, people will spend the money. They'll find a way to do it. They'll come up with things. So one example, I was working with one of the people in the Inner Circle. Her name's Sarah Petty, and she's a great friend of mine. But Sarah Petty is an amazing, incredible photographer. And Sarah Petty charges a lot of money for her photographs. And I was sitting there and I was listening and I'm talking to Sarah and I'm hearing how much she charges. And all of a sudden it clicks and it makes sense in my head how she can do that. So I want to introduce everybody to somebody. this is my grandfather. This is Neldon Summers. And Neldon is my father's father. He passed away in 1973, so about 5 years before I was born. And this is the very best picture I have of my grandfather. Now, if you look at it, it's kind of blurry. It's out of focus. It's black and white, which isn't a bad thing, but guys, this is the very, very best picture I have of my grandfather. I'm named after him. My middle name is Neldon. Okay. This is what I have. Now, we've gone through and we've tried to have it digitally cleaned up and fixed and put together and make it look nicer. But at the end of the day, there really isn't anything that can compensate for it being not a great shot of my grandfather. Do you guys know what I would pay to have a crystal clear picture of my grandfather? Hey, could a photographer say, hey, Robbie, I've got this awesome portrait picture of your grandfather. One picture, I'll sell it to you for $5,000. Hey, no problem. We'll find a way to come up with that money because I have an emotional connection to my grandfather who I have never met, but because I want to know, I want to understand. I've got another example here. I've got a great friend who takes pictures and does a wonderful job. Takes this picture of my family, and the person who took this picture, just fantastic, great guy. And I'm sure that all of us, hey, we've got these people that have cameras and they get out there and they do things. So this picture is taken of my family, and guys, it's not the greatest picture in the world of me and my family. I've got, if you look at my daughter there on the left-hand side, she's got light on her face. If you guys look down at my legs, you can see my boxer shorts are kind of sticking out just a little bit there. My dog's not looking at the camera. And I've got this picture, and he says, hey, here's the picture, here's the negatives, here's $150, here you go. Now, what I want you guys to understand, the way and the reason that you guys can charge more money is because each of you guys have the ability, the talent to share something with the world that nobody else can. So Sarah, let me tell you guys a little bit about the pictures that Sarah took of my family. This is my oldest son, Dylan, and now I've got Kennedy there at the bottom and Olivia. And Sarah comes in and she takes these wonderful pictures of my family, puts them in frames, and they become heirlooms in my house. I'm never going to look back and say, I wished I had a good picture of my son. Hey, Dylan, my son's grandkids, will never look back and say, man, I wonder what my grandpa looked like when he was a senior in high school, because I have these beautiful, perfect pictures that perfectly capture who my kids are, because Sarah's looking for a way to be able to help me out. That's why, said and done, $5,000 for 3 pictures that hang on my wall makes sense to me. I can do that because the value has been put there. If you guys don't charge what you're worth, and everybody out there has the talent, the skill, the ability to charge whatever it is that you guys need to charge for your products, and understanding that you have that ability to be able to do that is unbelievable and amazing once you take a look at it. Now, one of the biggest things, and we talked about this, and Russell's going to talk about the funnels tomorrow and why the funnels are so critical to be set up right and correctly. That we took 60 sales guys and we dropped it down to 2 sales guys that did roughly the same amount of gross volume and a heck of a lot more in net profit, because we eliminated all the overhead, everything there, top to bottom. One of the most important things to understand is to take a look at your value ladder. Now, I've had a lot of people that I will talk to, that I will work with, that they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, Robbie, I've got this great product. I've got my lead magnet that's bringing stuff in. It's right here. And my next bump up, I've got a $997 offer, and then $997 or $99.97, and I drop off, or something along those lines. And they're wondering, why can't I get to that 2 comma club? Why can't I get to that next level? Well, having that value ladder and having that put in there, gosh, if I sell a $10,000 product and I sell 100 of those, it becomes really easy for me to get to the 2 Comma Club. If all I have is a $100 product or a $67 product or a $10 product, the volume that I have to do becomes massive. What does your value ladder look like as you're out there and as you're putting together your high ticket program? Do you have all the steps in it? Now, somebody else, Paul and Stacy Martino, had this amazing, incredible course about relationships and helping people to have better relationships and better marriages and things like that. And they would bring people in and they would start out with their lead magnet and they'd bring people in and they'd have them there. And the next step up, they would have a very high ticket program. They would go from nothing to literally a $10,000 product over one bump and nothing happens in between. So me getting those leads and me having a bunch of people that have just opted in, I'm going to need 60 sales guys to be able to get through that many leads. Otherwise, there's no way that I can get through all of those leads anywhere, any possible way, unless I've got that many people, which my overhead goes up, my profit goes down. One of the things I always want to talk with people when you're looking at putting together your high ticket marketing or your high ticket product, and when you have it set up and when you have it ready to go, if you'll look at your marketing like people would when they were dating. Now, I haven't dated another woman for almost 20 years now. My wife Sandy and I, for almost 20 years, have been married. And but I remember back to my dating days, and I look at this model that I've got right here, and if I took that and I said, I spelled high ticket wrong. Okay, high ticket. Okay. Anyhow, that's all right. This isn't a. It's not perfectly put together, but that's funny that I caught that now. This is live. But if I walked up to a girl when I was in my dating years and I see her across the street and I walk up to her and I say, "Hi, my name's Robbie. What's your name?" "Oh, your name's Sally." "Great. Hey, you're a pretty girl. I'm a good looking guy. We should get married." Couple of things are going to happen. Okay. There's like a 99.9 chance that the girl is going to look at me and say, "You're crazy," and she's going to turn around and walk away, right? Because who walks up to a girl and says, "Let's get married"? Okay. Now there's it's like a 0.01% chance that she's going to say, "Hey, that's a great idea. We should get married." And if she said that, I would look at and think, "Oh my goodness, the girl is a little bit crazy that she wants to get married to me after only knowing me for a total of just a couple of minutes." When you put together your leads, when you put together your funnels, there's a lot of different ways, but here's just an example of something that you can do, that if you will set up your leads where you start out with your lead magnet, a low ticket purchase, hey, jump into something that's mid-level and then bump up to that high ticket. And high ticket can be anything. I mean, literally going from a couple of $1,000s on up to we've had $100,000 sales here, $50,000 sales with inner circle. And so there's so many different ways and places that you can put that in there. There are so many different things that you can do. But if I don't have the steps in there, if I don't offer that high ticket offer, it's never going to happen. The reason that they continually sell is, hey, there's a percentage of people that if I can provide more value, if I can help them out more, that all of a sudden I can provide more value because I'm getting paid more for the time, the energy, effort that I put into it. And at the same time that I'm providing all of this value to everybody else, I profit as well. Amazing, incredible things happen at that point. So in order to be able to do this, there's a few things that have to happen with the entrepreneur. But there's also some things that have to happen with your clients and your customers that you're talking to and that you're working with. You've got to change your relationship that you have with money. There's so many different obstacles and objections that come along, that people, when it comes to money and what money is and how it works and how it's put together. Guys, there is more money in the world right now than there ever has been in the history of all humanity. There is no shortage of money out there anywhere. So many people will come to me and they'll say, "Gosh, your coaching program, the inner circle, whatever it is, it's really expensive." And my thought is, you want to go through the school of hard knocks? You want to take 10 years to learn, because, hey, you can do it. The information's out there. You want to take the 10 years to learn how to do this, or go to somebody and learn and figure it out in a day, in a week, in a course, whatever it is. They want to go through the school of hard knocks. How many of you guys have ever heard this? People love to buy, but they hate to be sold. I disagree. I think people love to be sold. People love to be sold. They want to be sold to. There's so many different things, places that people want to buy things. I've got my friends and my buddies that are these rough, tough, gruff, like hunting, fishing type people. And they think that shopping is the worst thing in the world until you send them to Cabela's. You send them to a sporting goods store, and now they'll spend all the time in the world in the home improvement section at Home Depot, wherever it is. They'll spend all the time there. They love to buy things, but I have to be making that emotional connection to them. How many, debt is bad. Paying interest is awful. I hear this all the time. And you guys, there are times and places that debt is bad. Paying interest is bad. But is debt the bad thing? No, it's what's that debt going towards? Is it good debt, positive debt? Ignorance is so much more expensive than education. If I can go and I can learn how to do something in a day, in a weekend, in a week, why would I take the 10 years to get there? Hey, Robbie, the information is out there on whatever it is, the product, the service. And if you guys are out there and you guys want to figure out top to bottom how to become a graphic designer or become a software engineer, you can go to YouTube now. You don't even have to go to your local library. You can get all the information in the world right there at home on your computer and figure it out. Hey, back when I started, we didn't have the ability to just jump on the internet and get all the information. And I never once remember seeing a librarian with access to the world's, to all the information in the world. I never once saw any of them pull up in a Porsche, in a Ferrari, and anything like that. I've never seen a filthy rich librarian, even though all the information is there. Having that help, having that, the guidance, going through the school of hard knocks doesn't work for most people. And if it has, that's the person that I want to attach myself to. That's where I want to learn from. People love to be sold. They hate to be convinced. Hey, if I've got to convince somebody that this is what works, and I feel like I'm trying to talk them into buying my product, guys, nobody wants that. One of the things that I hate is when somebody says, hey, Robbie's such a good sales guy, he can sell an ice to an Eskimo. I don't want to sell ice to an Eskimo because an Eskimo doesn't need ice unless he's in the Sahara Desert. I want to make sure that I'm doing things, that I'm selling people my high-ticket products, my high-ticket offers to people that need the help, and that I can help them to understand. That's when selling becomes noble. That's when I'm serving. Hey, debt's bad. Paying interest is awful. More millionaires have been made in the world by real estate than anything else. Top to bottom, front to back. That's where people have made millions and millions of dollars upon end. I don't know few, if any, people that have made their fortunes in real estate that go out and they say, hey, there's a $500,000 home. I'm going to go to my checkbook and I'm going to write a check for it, and I'm going to buy that piece of property. No, they go to the bank. They borrow the bank's money, and they use the bank's money to be able to purchase that property. And then they go out and they find somebody to go and rent that home from them, and they rent that home for more than what the mortgage is. And because they're renting it for more than what the mortgage is, hey, if I'm looking at a profit and loss sheet, I'm running a profitable business. I've got a profitable asset. Good debt makes me money, bad debt doesn't. So if I'm out there and in my head, I'm thinking, gosh, I can't charge this much. I can't sell somebody this. I can't do this for whatever reason it is. You've got to change your mindset. You've got to have that paradigm shift that the products that you have, the services that you're offering to the world are going to change people's lives. They're going to help them to be better. They're going to help their families. They're going to help serve the communities, the people that they love around them, and things are going to be better for all of them because you're going to create that wealth for them with your products, your services, your courses, whatever it is that you're offering inside of ClickFunnels. You're going to have the ability to be able to do that by utilizing and helping them to understand that, hey, if you've got to utilize other people's money to be able to do that, and that could be something, that could be money on a credit card, that could be a loan if they have the cash. You know what, even if they have the cash, and I can use somebody else's money at a lower interest rate than what I'm going to make back, why wouldn't I? Something else that so many people talk to me about, and the questions when we get into high ticket sales. And so not only do we have to change our relationship with money, but we have to help our customers and our clients to change their relationship as well. And we're going to dive into the psychology behind this over the next couple of days. But one of the things that people say is, hey, yeah, I really, really love what it is that you guys are doing. I'll start later. I've got to think about it. How many of you guys have ever had on a sales call somebody say, I've got to think about something? Right in the comments, that's something you've ever experienced, ever had happen. I'll start later after I have X, Y, Z. And it's so funny because, hey, I don't want to demean like anybody's life and the things that they have going on, because obviously life happens and people have struggles and things that come up. But guess what, guys? Other people are having those struggles and still working through them and being successful with them. I was talking with somebody and they said something along the lines of, hey, yeah, I am really, really excited about coming into the inner circle. But, you know, the holidays are coming up and I'll start after the holidays. And this was early on in my sales career. And I was like, okay, hey, that's great. Call them back after the holidays. Hey, guess what? It's the brand new year, and my son is in his junior year of high school basketball, and they're doing awesome, and I just don't have the time right now to do it. And then guess what? Oh, it's spring break. We got this big vacation plan. And then summer comes. And then, hey, it's the son's senior year of football, and I'm following up with him because he told me he was good and ready to go. And football season comes up for senior year. And then guess what? We're back around to the holidays again. And it's been a whole year and he hasn't done anything. Hey, if you guys don't have a high ticket program, something set up, something put together right now that you guys can use. Russell kept talking about earlier, start with the end in mind. What can you put together for your high ticket program where you can add the most value, the most services, help somebody to be the most successful they can possibly be with whatever it is? It doesn't matter. How can you help them to become more successful? Start there and work your way down the value ladder. Hey, if you don't do that, you start becoming that person who puts it off and puts it off and puts it off. One of my favorite quotes, and it's anonymous. I don't know who it comes from, but it's pretty simple, and it says, procrastination is the assassination of motivation. Hey, what are you guys procrastinating today? What are you guys putting off? Are there things that you need to be doing to build your business, to make your business better, to move things forward, to help people out, to change their lives, to change their relationships with money? What is it that I need to make an effort with today to look at, to move things forward with my high ticket program? Who can I help? Who can I serve? What can I do? Hey, you guys, if we will do that, we're going to get rid of this stereotype. We're going to get rid of the stereotype of the used car salesman, and we're going to have the stereotype that I'm out there, that I'm helping people, that I'm changing lives. And over the next 2 days, that we're going to go through these things. We're going to cover these things. We're going to talk about them. We're going to dive into the psychology of how I get to these high ticket people, how they work. Russell's going to talk about how these funnels come in. And now all of a sudden, hey, entrepreneurs, you guys want to excite your salespeople? Bring them a lead that has a $1,500 DPL or dollar per lead. Hey, for every lead, I remember we would print these inner circle leads off, and Russell's office was just down the hall. And every time one of these leads would come off the printer, because we didn't have a CRM back then and we were just starting, hey, Russell, there's another $1,000 bill. Russell, there's another $1,000 bill. Another $1,000 bill. You want to excite your salespeople? Give them leads that are worth over $1,000 per lead. We're going to teach you how to make sure that those salespeople, that they're utilizing those leads correctly, so you're not burning leads ever. But we're going to get rid of this stereotype, and we're going to help people to become more successful and change more people's lives. We'll get rid of it over the next, like I said, over the next 3 days. Russell, we're going to do this. We're going to put this together, and we're going to make sure that we help more and more people to get their high ticket secrets programs out there and put together. Russell, thank you for your time, and that's what I've got for today. We'll have more tomorrow. But
I wish we had a studio audience to give a huge round of applause. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Robbie. You guys enjoy module number 2 so far? You guys getting excited for this? I've been in back working on my slides for tomorrow. I'm excited to share some really, really cool things with you guys as well. So that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you've loved everything today, please, in the comments down below, give us your biggest aha, your biggest takeaway, the biggest epiphany you had. We want to hear those things so we can, and any questions as well. If you have questions about stuff you figured out so far, or things you're trying to get answers to, or things that are unclear, also put those down below. We'll be reading those comments and kind of customizing everything for our presentations tomorrow. Again, we start tomorrow at noon Eastern, which is 10 Mountain, which is 9 Pacific, and every other time zone. I don't know how to help you. You got to figure it out from there. We'll be starting early. Robbie's going to be kicking off the day tomorrow. What are you talking about tomorrow morning? You want to talk real quick about that?
So tomorrow morning, Russell, totally excited about it. We're going to talk about the psychology of sales. We're going to dig into some of the science of it, and when you understand how it works, Russell, and how it's put together, it becomes simple. It becomes easy. And you guys are going to have a process that you guys are going to be able to look at. We're going to give you the framework, how to put it together. And then you guys take the framework and adopt it to your business, to your services, and your products. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm excited. And then tomorrow afternoon, I'll be talking about the funnels, the email sequences, everything. Anyway, it's going to be so much fun. So that's the game plan. So thank you, Robbie.
It's amazing. It's so much fun.
So much fun. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Appreciate you. Again, comment down below. Ask any questions down below. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Bye, everybody.